Summer Jazz.
Easily manage your team's work with one.
Okay, I think we are free to start letting people in.
Okay, let's get started. So, hello everyone, welcome, welcome. Very excited you are here. Today is the finale of the Ignite Next Gen. We had such a wonderful 6 weeks. Can you believe it? What a time this has been. We are super pumped to have all of you here, as well as new friends all around. So as you settle in, welcome, welcome. Take a moment if you are here in the chat box for those who are at Zoom to share how you are feeling right now. So share it in the chat box where you're coming in from, how you're doing, and we are so excited you are here. So welcome folks coming in. My name is Monica Kang. I'm the program director of Ignite Next Gen, and I'm super pumped for all of you to join in our graduation ceremony. So with that being said, I know we got a lot to go over and celebrate. And with that being said, let's get started. So again, for those who are joining in the chat box, feel free to say some hellos. Where are you tuning in from? And for those on Facebook Live, let us know where you're coming in from as well. We're so excited and look forward to hearing what you all have to say. So with that being said, I believe we have some special slides to get us started. Have that ready. That being said, yes, so graduation ceremony, we are here indeed. I'm very excited. Like as I shared, we have a few things that we want to highlight. Done. So again, my name is Monica Kang. I'm the founder and CEO of Innovators Box. I'm also the Ignite Next Gen Program Director, where you are in for a special treat. We have been working in the past 6 weeks with these amazing fellows that you'll be able to see in our screen. In the past few weeks, challenging, learning, growing, and really diving into that question, what does it mean to be Korean American, Asian American, and navigating change and growing as a better leader? I'm super impressed and inspired. This is kind of a quick gist of what they've been going through in the past 6 weeks. So first, congratulations for all the amazing work that they have done. And just to highlight, they have been pushed and challenged. And I am so thrilled that you are all here because we are here for the final race and highlighting what stories we have to share. Because as all of you know, life in itself is a journey and there's a lot of growing and reflecting to do. And so with all these milestones that we have reached, we are excited to welcome all of you to join us live today, right now with us, to celebrate how and where we're going and what stories we have to share. So how timely is that? Because with that, I want to be able to highlight some of our amazing leaders who has been part of this program together, including myself. We have Jeannie and Sam, who has played such a key role. They are here, and I would love to have a brief hello from each of them if Jeannie is here.
I'm here. Of course, I wouldn't miss it, but I guess I just made everybody else nervous. Sorry. I mean it. I'm nervous too. For you guys. No, I have loved being part of this the past 6 weeks. Thank you, CKA, KACLA. Love working with everybody. Monica, first of all, made it easy for me, and I'm sure Sam, just to show up and curate content. We got to do what we love to do. So thank you also, Monica. You guys, maybe I should still hold office hours. I don't know. I think I'm going to go through withdrawal because I started mourning a week ago. So I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. But it's been a privilege. Yeah, Angie, thank you so much. And before, I don't want to get teary-eyed because I tend to do that. So I'm just excited to be here and listen to you guys today.
Thank you, Jeannie. And then Sam, I believe you are here as well. Would love to hear some few words from you.
Yeah, I think this entire journey from start to finish has been incredible. And I think, first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't start by thanking CKA, KCLA, the leadership with Abe and Eunice. and the staff for the amazing work that all of you have done to be on this journey with you all, and Jeannie has been unbelievable. But also special thank you to Monica. Monica, you have been such a rock star and a pillar in making sure that this went as amazingly, as transformatively as it has. And it has been an honor and a privilege to work with you and learn and grow with you. So just so much love to you, and can't wait till what kind of work we do in the future. But this is not about us, but it's also mostly about the fellows. And to all the fellows, I can't express how proud I am of each and every one of you, the amount of growth that I have seen from start to finish, the body posture. I'm watching for that, right? I'm watching for how you guys are all handling yourselves, reaching out and taking all of the information that has been given to you and implementing it directly. And the amount of growth that each one of you have shown in this short period of time only shows me how much growth you're going to see in the future. So I'm always a resource, always reach out. I'm excited to see the way that each and every one of you change the world, and to also finally, to all of the guest speakers who have come, you know, I see that many of you have joined. Thank you for spending your time and your wisdom to help this young batch of leaders grow and be in the positions that they will be in the future. It's been an honor and a privilege to be a part of this group, to see where we're going, not only as a Korean American community, but also to see where we're going to go as we're going to change and shape the world to be a better and more inclusive and loving world for everybody. You guys are all amazing. I love you all. And that's all I have to say. So.
Thank you, Jeannie and Sam, for adding that. Can we give a round of applause of gratitude? Round in noting that all of this is not possible with the key stakeholders, which alludes to the next stakeholder that I want to absolutely say thank you, Abe and Eunice. I mean, absolutely, without your blessings, this would not be possible. We'd love to hear a few words of wisdom and how you're feeling right now in excitement to what the fellowship has been. So please, Abe, would love to hear with you first. Oh, Eunice, if you're ready. Eunice?
We're just really proud of all of the students and all the effort that you have put in, and we hope that you've grown and truly had some kind of a transformative experience here. And I hope it doesn't stop here. This is just the beginning, and we hope that you grow through this time. And during this COVID crisis that seems to be quite prolonged, that you may utilize everything that you've learned and be able to overcome all the challenges. We are so grateful for all the leaders and all the people who have dedicated their time to make this possible. And I really look forward to all of your presentations and to be inspired and to learn from you as well.
Thank you, Eunice and Abe.
Yeah, well, I just want to say congratulations to all of you. And quite honestly, the little secret that we'd like to reveal at the end is that when we started all of this, we didn't know what the end product would be. And but we knew that when we got very talented people, talented and passionate teachers and mentors who really cared about you know, our young people and our emerging leaders, that magic would happen. And sure enough, magic happened these last 6 weeks. And so we want to, you know, for us, we want to thank you, the students, for being so dedicated and so committed. And we all are living through history right now. You know, the world is changing rapidly, and we really don't know where all of this is going to end up. But we know that when we have good people, good team, good community that really cares about each other, that we will, you know, navigate whatever the world throws our way. And so thanks for allowing us to be a part of that journey, and thanks for joining our journey. And we will look forward to watch all of you as you continue to grow and blossom and bloom as professionals. And also, I know we're going to be continue to talk about how to keep in contact even after the 6 weeks program, just to connect and support you and continue to push everyone forward and make this community even larger. So thank you again to all of you, to Monica, to Jeannie, to Sam, to Eunice, to Ruth, the whole team, David, and all the folks who have put so much time into all of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing those. And if we can give another round of appreciation and gratitude to the two leaders and help making this possible. And of course, if you remember way back when in the advertisement, we originally had a cost, but we quickly were able to change it because thanks to these supporters and sponsors and donors, we absolutely were able to make this possible free of charge to all your fellows who have been part of this, because without the gratitude with Open Bank, Consulate General of Republic of Korea in Los Angeles, and Verizon, this would not have been possible. And so in addition to our leadership from Abe and Eunice, thank you all for our supporters for making it available and accessible for all. And I just want to go back to the slide of our fellows, because, you know, again, all of this is not possible without all of you being here. So if you can do a round of applause and appreciation, I am just immensely humbled, inspired, and impressed by every single one of you. I mean, yes, like, thank you all for not hating me by the end of the program, or if you did by now, that's okay. Because I really intentionally pushed all of you and hope to get out of your comfort zone. And I want you all to remember these spaces, because it was a very competitive process to even be part of this program, let alone continue on the program. And so if you see any of these shining stars, I mean, please make sure you get your signatures now, because they are going to be going far and wide. And we are just so pumped and honored that we can be part of their journey and help support and be part of where they go. So today you're in for a special treat, because you're going to get a chance to hear their amazing stories in a little bit about what they have to say and where they are. And before that, we have our special graduation speaker, because you know, we need some extra inspiration to get us started about where stories go. And so with that being said, I'm super excited to have Susan Kim, as you have briefly saw in the slide, our CEO of Edmodo, who is, you know, really thinking about global technology and education all around the world. Not just for small stakeholders, but globally for millions of users and members rethinking education at this time. And how timely is it for us to learn, rethink, and understand, what else should we wonder and think? And so with that being said, I believe Susan is here right now. We would love to have you. Can we give a round of welcoming applause for Susan, who is here to share some wisdom? So Susan, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm so honored to be here, and congratulations, everyone. I understand that shortly you will all be sharing your own stories. So I thought that today I would share mine. And so I actually have just a few pictures that I wanted to share. Let me. Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay. So I wanted to just start a little bit with sharing actually a photo of the most important people in my life, my husband and my two girls. And we play a game oftentimes, almost every night at dinner. My little one in particular really likes this game. It's called Out of the Loop, where it's a mobile app game, but one person in the family is out of the loop. Everyone else knows what the answer is. And then you go around asking questions, and the person out of the loop has to fake it. And then you try to guess, you know, who's out of the loop. So in any case, one of the categories is other family members. And apparently the answer was me, that it was, you know, it was mom. And so one of the questions was, name a celebrity that reminds you of this person. And that question went to my 9-year-old, and she answered, the peacock from Kung Fu Panda. So I've actually never watched Kung Fu Panda. So I thought, okay, that's a really strange answer. And my husband started cracking up, because apparently the peacock from Kung Fu Panda is like the super evil villain, like totally like evil, etc. And, you know, I was like, girls, I'm like, why? And then my older one kind of chimed in, yeah, actually, you know, mommy does remind me of the peacock. So, you know, I asked, and this is the picture of the peacock. And I asked the girls, I'm like, what? I'm like, why, you know, why do you think, you know, mommy reminds you of the peacock? And both girls actually said it's because the peacock is fierce and badass. which I was like, oh, that's so nice, right? But then I went actually for this speech, went and looked up the peacock just to learn more about this character. And the words they use to describe this peacock are like evil, the whole, so I think I'm gonna actually talk to my girls after this. But anyways, that's kind of, it's interesting because the words fierce or badass are not words that I would have ever associated with myself, because it's certainly not how I started. So I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of from the beginning. So I was born in Korea, and my parents immigrated when I was 1. And our first stop was actually in Boston. We lived in an apartment in Cambridge. My father was a physician, and he was doing a fellowship in radiology at Boston University. And we lived in this high rise right along the Charles River in Cambridge near Harvard University. And my parents would oftentimes look at all the Harvard students riding their bikes. And so from the time I can remember, my parents had told me, you have to go to Harvard. And I was well aware of how much they had sacrificed and how hard they were working to provide a life for myself and my brother. And so those things kind of really stuck in my head. We then shortly moved to Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio. So I actually, for those who don't know that part of the country, although I think most of you guys probably know, Newcastle, PA, we actually first settled in Youngstown, Ohio. And then we moved to a small city called Newcastle, Pennsylvania, which is about 10 miles from the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. And the town is very, very white. I think our family, and I think there was maybe three other Asian families in the entire town. And I'll show you this picture. So this is a photo of my 4th grade class. So the year was 1983 to 1984. And I asked my daughters, we've actually found this picture when we were moving, and I asked my daughters to pick out mommy. And I'm the only Asian kid in the class, and my daughters couldn't find me. And so just a close up, that's me. Right around the age of where my younger daughter is now. And they just laughed so hard. And because this picture, they're like, mommy, you were a nerd. And yes, I am. I was, and I still am. And so growing up, I'll stop. This picture is so embarrassing, so I'm actually going to stop screen sharing. So, the reason why I want to show you that picture is that the words fierce and badass would never be associated with that person. And the lessons that I learned from my dad, again, this is early 80s. As an immigrant, my dad always said, you need to put your head down and you need to work twice as hard because we're immigrants to this country. And, and it was, I had this, I knew how much my education was so important to my parents, was go to Harvard, be a doctor. And so for me, their dreams, it was everything that what I wanted to do was to achieve their dreams for me, and so I put my head down and I worked really hard. But I wanted to fast forward a little bit to high school. So I went to a high school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so the nearest large town, much more diverse community. And I remember I was so used to growing up in Newcastle, not trying to bring attention to myself, because we were, again, like oftentimes I was the only Asian kid in the classroom. And I was very quiet and very shy, but I knew I had to do well. But it was interesting because when I got to high school and there was more people who looked like me, you would have thought that I would have been more comfortable, but I was still kind of had this muscle memory of, I need to make sure that everything I say is well thought out. I have to always, show that I'm smart or well prepared. And what was interesting though, is I overheard some of my classmates talking about me. I was actually surprised they were even talking about me because I was always so kind of in the background. But I overheard these girls talking, and one of them had said, oh, what do you think of Susan? And I remember one girl said, oh, she's nice, but kind of wishy-washy. And I remember thinking, actually kind of agreeing with that. And, in class, I remember, overhearing two boys talk about, at the time, I think they were talking about Bill Clinton, and they were making a joke about, what they had opinions about whether or not he was going to become the next president or whether he should be. And I just remember like being in awe of the fact that they had these formed opinions. To be honest, and this is embarrassing, I didn't even know who Bill Clinton was. I was too busy trying to ace BC calculus. And so, it was, for me, I, again, was so focused on what my parents had kind of prescribed for me, their own dreams, that I hadn't really thought about like what my own dreams were. And so when I graduated from high school and I did get into Harvard, I remember freshman year just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm done. Like I've made it, and so honestly, I didn't study at all my freshman year in college. Like that dream that people have where they're taking their final and they realize that they had forgotten that they had enrolled in the class. I lived it. Like I've actually experienced, I remember walking into this final and I looked at it, I wrote my name, I kind of scribbled a few answers and I left after like 30 minutes. And I remember everyone looking like shocked, like, oh my gosh, she must be a genius. She finished the final in 30 minutes. Literally, I think I answered like 2 questions. And so I got my butt kicked freshman year because I honestly thought I was done. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm no longer, in sort of the purview of my parents. I need to start figuring out like what I want to do. And to be honest, that was terrifying. And the other piece that was actually really terrifying was that I had sort of like stacked my freshman year course load with all the pre-med requirements. And so I certainly, after my freshman year, was not going to get into any med school. And so I remember telling my parents my sophomore year that I wasn't going to go to med school. And I remember just bawling because it was the first time I'd like really let them down. And I was just bawling. And so I spent kind of the rest of college. I did get my act together sophomore year, and I actually majored in English, which is a total surprise because at the time I was like, God, I was trying to figure out like, okay, I'm clearly not going to major in a science, etc. But I was trying to think like, well, what do I like doing? And I liked reading. And so I majored in English. I had no plan. And so the summer between my junior and senior year of college, again, I also like, to be honest, kind of embarrassing. People play the game of like, what was your first job? My first job was my job out of college. So I spent this, because I thought, oh, I'm going to med school. I spent that summer at home thinking, okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to do after I graduate. So I guess I'll take the LSAT since I'm not going to med school. And so I took like a Kaplan course for the LSAT. That's all I did that summer. And that summer, I experienced just crippling insomnia. I could not sleep. Like I would be up till 6, 7 in the morning, maybe sleep a little bit, kind of go down for lunch because I was so stressed. I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And so I went back my senior year and my college roommate, she had interned on Wall Street for the summer. Honestly, when she said that she was working at a bank, I had no idea what she was talking about. I thought, like the local commercial bank. And so she was like, hey, come, there's these recruiting events and you should just come. And I was like, are you serious? I had no idea what this was. And she convinced me to come because she said, well, there's going to be free wine and food. So I was like, okay, sign me up. So I tagged along with her. And what I discovered at these recruiting events your senior year, they bring young alums who had, recently graduated, and they talk about their work experiences. And I was blown away, like just fascinated. I'm like, whether it was like management consulting or investment banking, these young kids are getting to experience, problem solve the issues that these companies are facing. And I just remember being so shocked, like, how do you even know anything? Like, why would they pay you to do that? And I just remember like I would be the first to arrive and I would be the last to leave because I went and talked to like every single person, the alum there, and just understanding their stories, how they got there, getting their advice. And so with that, I actually ended up in a place that I would have never imagined. I ended up in New York City. My first job out of college was management consulting. And I mean, I learned a lot. And again, I sort of went back to my muscle memory of put your head down, work a lot. And so, the hours are crazy. So now I'm going to fast forward a little bit to post-grad school. And so my first job out of grad school was a company called eBay. And eBay, so I joined eBay. I graduated from business school in 2003. And eBay had gone public, I believe, in 98. And it was just, the growth was spectacular. And when I look back to this day, it is still my favorite work experience. There wasn't a single day where I went into work where I dreaded it. Like even on Sunday nights, I would so look forward to going to the office because the people there were just amazing. Like I met lifelong friends, like to this day, and almost every single job afterwards was because of an eBay connection, or, they either, kind of gave me a heads up about a role or facilitated making that happen. They serve as my references. I mean, I literally made lifelong friends, and something that my husband actually was quite puzzled about because he's likes to keep separation of church and state. So, he's got like a work persona and then a home persona. Whereas for me, I mean, I literally just brought my whole self to work. I'm not any different in the office versus at home. And, I loved it. Now, there was one dark spot to eBay, which was there is a big jump between kind of entry level and then hitting the middle management level, so director. And I remember, I would be working on these big projects where, launching these, new features, et cetera. Or I had, developed a reputation at eBay of always knowing where the data was. So people would always be pinging me, asking me, oh, what's the activation metric for, this set of buyers, et cetera. And so I had a lot of knowledge, but it was interesting because when promotion time came, I remember getting passed up, and I just remember being so disappointed because I was like, I work twice as hard as everybody else, and I have all the answers, or at least, again, this is what my young mind thought at the time. And I just remember being so disappointed. And the feedback I had gotten was, you need to work on your leadership presence. And I was like, isn't it enough? Like I was thinking of my dad's advice, which was put your head down and work hard, and that's going to be enough. And I think, bless our immigrant parents, because that was really good advice for them in the context in which they were living. But as second generation Korean Americans or Asian Americans, that advice only gets us so far. And I was like, looking back at the time, I was so disappointed and so hurt by that feedback. But when I look back at how I was at eBay, yes, I knew a lot. But in meetings, if there was a table, I wouldn't even sit at the table. I'd sit in a side chair. Oftentimes I would be the one diligently taking notes, but like in the meeting itself, I overthought what I wanted to say. And then the moment would pass, and then I wouldn't say it and someone else would say it, because I was so concerned about making sure that, people thought I was smart. And so I overthought everything, and I therefore didn't say anything. And so that feedback was valid, and so I ended up leaving eBay in 2008. So I'd been there for 5 years. And in 2008, I left eBay. I actually wasn't looking to leave at the time, but I got a call from Google, and I wasn't super interested, but I remember the recruiter saying, just come and meet some people. They're amazing. And I was just blown away by the people. I mean, it just consistently, the level of talent. And so for me, I went to Google really as like management boot camp. I was going to have a chance to actually lead a large team. And I found my voice there. And I took my seat at the table. And a lot of, my behaviors began to change, and I became comfortable in my own skin, and I stopped worrying about being perfect. And that's really when my career took off. So I wanted to just leave you with a few parting thoughts. Telling your story starts with understanding who you are. And if you're not sure where to start, then just start at the beginning and think about where you come from, because who you are, as Monica said earlier, is going to be an evolution. And it starts with where you come from, but who you will become is the sum total of all of your experiences, and more significantly, the people you surround yourself with, both personally and professionally. So while we may not be able to choose our families, when it comes to your work colleagues, when it comes to your life partner, when it comes to your friends, choose wisely. Go to where you will learn the most, especially when it comes to from a career context. Go to where there's the highest concentration of high caliber, high quality people, because if you set your bar high from the get-go, going forward, that becomes your floor. And I think for me, I think about that a lot. And along the way, there will be hiccups and setbacks, but don't sweat it. Because when I look back, for me, one of the biggest failures was, again, how I crashed and burned freshman year and didn't become a doctor. And looking back at that, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because it forced me to start thinking about what I actually wanted. And now I'm in this job that I love. And so with that, have fun today, share your stories, listen to, your fellows stories. And I'm so envious of you guys, because this start of lifelong learning, you guys are part of Ignite Next Gen. You're going to form connections with each other. And, you are a self-select group of people who want to be leaders and make a change. And so I'm just so excited for you guys and excited to see you guys and what you guys do in the future. So with that, thank you very much for your time and congratulations.
Thank you, Susan, so much. Let's give a round of applause and appreciation. I mean, wow, lots of nuggets of wisdoms and reminders. And just to highlight, the road is unknown. And it's not just because of 2020. It's just a given thing. And so how do we take the opportunity to use those moments to build those amazing relationships, learn and grow, and ask more questions? Because, hey, we're not supposed to figure out on this alone, but we do one day at a time. And so thank you, Susan, again. So appreciative of your wisdom and reminder of why we need to continue to be bolder, more courageous, and curious as we continue on. So with that being said, fellows, are we ready to get started? Yes. Okay. I'm super, super pumped. They have been working hard and lots of amazing stories. As Susan said, all of our stories uniquely matter. And we've been learning a lot about this in the past few weeks. So we have a lot of us joining here, both live as well as those in Zoom. And so everyone take a deep breath. There we go. And so with that being said, do we have our first presenter, Bo Hwang James, ready here? We would love to have you and get started.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna just share my screen. No, cancel, present. Thank you. Growing up, my favorite movie was Mulan, but I hated the part when she got with Ling Shang in the end. I was born in Korea and I immigrated here to the United States. This is a picture of my sister and my dad at Disneyland. And even though he struggled financially, he did his best to provide for my sister and I. I was very close with my sister, but there was a drastic difference between my sister and I. While she gravitated toward more feminine clothing and feminine items, I gravitated toward more masculine clothing and masculine items. These feelings that I had ever since I was 3 years old, I was hiding inside. I didn't have the language or the words to express my feelings. And it wasn't until 20 years later when I came out to my sister. And these were the very words she told me. Her words alone gave me the affirmation for me to express myself. And through college, I got to learn and grow professionally. intellectually, and spiritually. And I got to meet with other Asian American students. This is me at DC doing a spoken word piece with my other scholars. This is me at a Korean American leadership camp. And I was chosen as the Senior of the Year award at UCLA of my graduating class. And I was getting these amazing internships. But like Mulan, I just wanted one thing. I wanted my mom's approval. So I took the leap of faith and I booked a trip with my father and my sister to go to Korea. Needless to say, it was one of the worst trips I've ever taken in my life. I put my selfish desires first, and I had all these expectations of my mother without the consideration of generation, geographic, and all the things that I just didn't understand growing up in the States. But this summer, I was reminded that although my mom may not see me as her son, the biggest approval that I need is myself. And I have a community of people who see me, who love me, and who support me. So unlike most Disney movies and unlike Mulan, I did not get married in the end. But I think my story and where I'm at is just enough for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for kicking us started and sharing your thoughtful story. Wow. I mean, love Mulan reference and thank you. Thank you. I'm going to continue on. I believe we have the next presenter, Julia An. Are you here and ready?
Yes, I am. And I can't share my screen till... Okay, we're good now. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Yulia, and today I'm going to be talking about why Asians are good at math and why I am not one of them. 구구 단을 외자, 구구 단을 외자. For those of you that my song might be pretty familiar, considering that it's something that a lot of Korean students learn for their multiplication tables. But having grown up in the States, this is something that I was completely unfamiliar with, while as my dad has known this song by heart since the 2nd grade when he grew up in Korea. Over the past 13 years, his attempts to make me a better STEM and math student have tragically failed. And fortunately, there are no photos to document that. And I used to feel such a strong sense of guilt and pressure that I didn't fit in this Asian American whiz kid stereotype. Why couldn't I fit into this image that is so integral to our Asian American presence in American society? But first, let's go back to Korea and explore the foundations of their number system. In Korean, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And in English, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then as we continue on in Korean, it's 11, 12, 13. Simply translated to 10, 2, 10, 3, 10, 4. So you would think the same thing would happen in English. We would start with 1 teen, 2 teen, 13, etc. But the difference is that we actually have to start learning new terms like 11 and 12, who bear no similar linguistic reference, but hold the same value. So in this very short example, we can see that the Korean counting system is extremely logical, and there's a clear and comprehensible pattern solely based on the setup of the language and its Chinese roots. It's much easier for young students like my dad or other immigrant parents to compute basic math functions, and it's not necessarily something to do with how smart they are to begin with. So now I fully understand why, when my father, who came to the US, who didn't know any English, did so much better in math. It wasn't because it was the least amount of English, but because he was excelling in a curriculum that was tailored for a set of American students who counted in a clumsier linguistic structure like myself. And things haven't really seemed to change in the past 20 years. However, the clash that we had, we didn't seem to recognize that this reconciliation was because I was growing up in his household in a Korean American identity, but also through the American public schooling system. So I realized this isn't an excuse for me to just not be good at math, but now I have a better understanding of my father's experience and also realize that, quote, being good at something is oftentimes rooted in the culture and not always down to the certain individual. I may not fit the stereotype of a smart Asian math kid, but that's because my weaknesses or failures don't fit the mold of who I am. For I am Yulia An, a Korean American with the initials of even USA. And I am the sum of my parents' immigrant experience, my mixed cultures, my academic and social influences growing up. I grew up with an immigrant dad who saw math as the only way up and out to be successful, but that stemmed from a place of love and hard work. And one day I'm still struggling with this, but I'm continuing to work on it, that I'll prove to myself, him, and the world that I can be more than just good, but that I can be great. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Wow, rounds of gratitude. And hey, I do know that Kukudan song, so absolutely resonating on that, Yulia. Thank you, thank you. I mean, math, Asian, all of that, but reminding ourselves again with the string. With that, I believe we have our next person, Victoria Kim. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Would love to hear, and let's give a round of applause and more here from Victoria.
Okay, am I screen sharing? Okay, awesome. So hi, my name is Victoria Kim, and this is my TED Talk. Practically out of the womb, I was destined to be a Taekwondo martial artist. I started at age 3 and I'm now 21. My dad, who is a silver medalist Olympian 9th degree black belt, was extreme to the point of laying on a bed of nails and having cinder blocks broken atop him. My dad had come up with this quote, "Your surroundings may be against you, but success lies within you," which is what I've been living by every day of my life. He had created this massive community of people with passion for Taekwondo. Our student motto consisted of abiding by discipline, self-respect, 100% effort, honesty, and setting our goals. Our William Kim's family served as a second family for so many, some of which were depressed, some lost, some outcast. My parents were inviting of anyone and always had their best interests at hand. My family is also involved in an association called Sister Cities International that strives to understand different cultures to promote peace and understanding worldwide. We have traveled to Korea, Philippines, and Mexico as we not only exchanged goodwill Taekwondo matches with them, but we built relationships that we would remember forever. What I didn't realize before of what my parents were trying to accomplish with this association is understanding everyone's differences. With the current events surrounding us today, such as Black Lives Matter movements and COVID-19, I've realized a great deal of misunderstanding, mistreatment, miscommunication there is among us. In my personal life, through my family, friends, and boyfriend, I've undergone many trials and tribulations that have tested my ability to understand that I can't live in my own head or my own perfect world where everything goes my way. Sam Hyun once said, "I can't take my own growth, treat it like a USB, and insert it into others," a quote that helped me realize that I must pick and choose my battles and be aware of that I might not be in the same place as others, but there's really nothing I can do about it. Through life experiences, I lost sight of my never give up mentality because of the obstacles I faced that took a toll on me. This fellowship pushed me to make a failure resume, which was hard to face, hard to write, and hard to look at. But I learned much that comes with confidence is recognizing failure and how I choose to let it affect me. Monica had said once, "I changed the way I think so I can change the way I feel." And I finally come to terms with accepting that everything that I experience contributes to my everlasting journey of growth. As a 21-year-old, I haven't even merely dipped my foot into the oceans of experiences out there. And my mentors and model figures are leaps and bounds ahead of me in knowledge of being a good person. But what I would hope to do is send a message to those my age or younger or older even, that personal growth should be something we strive to progress every day. It is up to us to build communities around us and work towards a world that we want to live in, to live with more intention and open-mindedness, and to live more for our eulogy than our resume. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Victoria, for reminding us again the power of intentionality. I mean, giving a round of applause and appreciation for that wonderful speech and story of where you are feeling, which ties beautifully. I mean, many of you who are new, again, you're seeing snapshots of all the work that the fellows have been doing and the messages that they have been building. With that being said, I believe we have our next person. Catherine, are you ready? And we have a special treat of creative expression.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
I'm going to share my screen real quick. Can everyone see that? Okay, hi everyone. When Monica asked the fellows to share stories for today, I decided to write a poem entitled "The Corner." Basically, this poem is about my journey to rediscovery. Before I let other people decide who I am and what I can do. And this fellowship, Ignite Next Gen, has shown me how to gain confidence in myself and how to reclaim my identity and my voice and my story. So the corner is about finding that voice and finding this community. Here goes, deep breath. In the corner, I sit, head cradled in my crossed arms, knees bent and close to my chest, facing the wall, protected. There are cracks here and there, and I know them. So intimately, I know them, I made them, and they made me, etched on my skin, burned into my palms, my own scarlet letter. And all I've ever known is shame, is difference, is other, is this corner where I've been backed into until I called it home. But it isn't my home. I don't know this home. I didn't choose it. I don't want it. There are cracks in the walls that ripple and stretch north to south, a map of history. I trace the edges, the trail it's made, follow it to the source. They're weak now. Under my thumb, they break from the pressure, the same pressure that I've known from before. I've turned it against itself, and it begins to crumble. I press my palms on the concrete. They're cool against my feverish skin. Stray gravel pinches my hands. And I can feel a connection, a foreignly familiar pull, like a song I once knew the words to. It thrums under my fingers, locked under my skin, and I can hear my name on their lips. I know these voices. The heart-trembling tenors and sopranos, the lilt of their language, the harmony that they sing, and they knew me. They know me before I was lost and stolen and hidden away. I can hear my own thoughts again, not whispers from the walls that I carelessly and mindlessly echoed. They don't like that I've read their code, that I found their weakest point, that I've seen beyond the walls, and that I found myself, and that I found you, and that I remember. And so I push. In the corner, I rise to my feet, freed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, wow, I think we're getting little chills and goosebumps here. What a powerful poem. And thank you, Catherine, for putting words in note of the depth of the space that we put in. So thank you for sharing that in thoughtfulness, giving another round of applause, appreciation, and wonderful work. And with that being said, I believe to build on that, we have next Julie, who's going to talk about Dear Oma and Upa. So we'd love to hear if you are ready.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
Hi everyone, my name is Julia Pak, and today I'll be sharing a story about my parents. In Korean, Oma means mom and Appa means dad. And through a letter format, I'd like to present to you how my upbringing by my parents has really shaped me for the person I am today. So dear Amma, thank you for teaching me to be curious and ask many questions about the world around me. Growing up in Korea, my mom faced some of the negative effects of traditional gender roles and stereotypes, which ultimately affected some of her career and life decisions. However, as a mother of two girls, she raised me and my sister without any gendered limitations placed upon society. Through her resilient attitude, she has taught me to challenge the norm and feel empowered and strong as a woman. Dear Appa, thank you for wholeheartedly encouraging me to pursue my professional and personal goals. Whether it's deciding which internship to take or what major to study, I've always turned to my dad, who's taught me to trust my gut and give 110% in the work that I'm doing. From a young age, he's taught me tremendously how to set a goal and achieve it, and I don't know where I would be today without his words of encouragement. I recently celebrated my college graduation at home, but I realized that behind all the list of accomplishments that are on my resume is the unconditional love and support from my parents during the failures and rejections. During difficult times in high school and college, my parents have really helped remind me to stay true to myself whenever I felt lost or confused. As I enter the real world and begin my first full-time career as a Korean American woman, I feel very equipped with the knowledge and skills that I've learned for myself, but also with the value system that my parents have helped me construct. So dear Amma and Appa, thank you so much for being the best parents ever, and I am so lucky to be your daughter. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Julia. I mean, man, family plays a big role, and you could not have said better in just sharing with your beautiful pictures and storyline in that. So thank you. Let's give a round of applause and work in celebrating important people in our life. So with that being said, I believe we're going to continue on. We have Angie, who's going to talk about 10 seconds. I'm curious to also hear what you will be sharing with us about 10 seconds. So when you're ready, the floor is yours.
Okay, can you see that? All right. So thank you. So hi, everyone. Once again, my name is Angie. To start off, I just want to preface this with saying that honestly, I struggled a lot with trying to come up with a topic for my talk. You know, I was thinking, like, what is something that I personally can say in under 3 minutes that I feel can be substantial enough? But after giving it some thought, something that I'd like to talk about today is to just simply take this time to touch upon how my story is largely shaped by the love and kindness of the people around me. Personally, for me, I've been blessed to have people in my life who have supported me and given me their validation and encouragement, whether it's my family members, my friends, mentor figures, and even people who I've briefly crossed paths with before, people who maybe I've had just 1 or 2 conversations with, but who nonetheless really showed me their authenticity and genuine care, which I still appreciate today. And so actually on that note, I'd like for everyone to do a little exercise. I'd like for us to take 10 seconds to think and reflect about someone in our life who has helped to shape us to be the person we are today. So who is someone who has given you their kindness? And so I'd like for us to think about this for 10 seconds, and I will actually watch the time starting now. So who came to mind during these 10 seconds? Who is that person who left a mark on your life? I'd like to end my talk here with reminding us that regardless of what chapter we're at in our life right now, regardless of what we aspire to be or what impact we ultimately want to make, we've all gotten here thus far thanks to the compassion of other people. And that as individuals, we can all contribute to paying that compassion forward. That even the smallest actions we make or words we say can really uplift the lives of others. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Angie. I mean, man, not only was that powerful, you made us do an activity in the midst of it. I were seeing the chat box, boom, sharing that we have family and just taking a moment of gratitude, thinking about it. So thank you for helping us think and pause. I want to build on that. And here next, I believe we have Shine, who is going to talk about My Name is Shine. So when you are ready, the floor is yours.
Yes. Okay, I hope everyone can see that. Hello, my name is Shine, and this is the story of my name and how I learned what it meant to live up to it. For the past 8 years, I struggled to be myself. A lot of my actions and how I portrayed myself were motivated by my fears of how others perceived me. Despite my faith being a big part of my identity all my life, I was afraid of being known. Now in high school, you only saw the tip of the iceberg, me at my best. I was successful and well respected in the eyes of my peers. Yet underneath, I was miserable and frustrated because I didn't know how to be me without being clouded by my fears of judgment. I was a robot constantly doing, but unable to be honest about my very real struggles and weaknesses. Now, my recent 4 years in college were a time where, according to Georgia Tech's inherent standard of success, I was a failure. Stripped of all my titles and accomplishments and studying IR at a prominent engineering school were big blows to my identity that was rooted in outward successes. After years of only hearing compliments and succeeding, I was hurt more by the unspoken words, the very look on people's faces when they realized I wasn't just like them. Well, I felt like an imposter, so I did what I knew best. I pretended. I pretended like I had my life together, that I knew my God-given purpose as an IR major, and it was driven by wanting to prove people wrong. Now, people couldn't possibly imagine a Shine that actually struggled with anxiety and couldn't leave her room until after long hours of prayer and self-pep talks in the mirror. But it was in my struggle with pride and anxiety that faith became my freedom. And before I knew it, I graduated. I graduated this past spring, not having created a name for myself, nor with high hopes and confidence in my resume, but having learned how to be vulnerable and how to vent, how to respect and value myself, and most importantly, with a firm foundation in God. College was a giant season of humbling for me, and in the humbling, I stopped the pressure simply doing out of love and joy. My last 3 years in college, I served in my campus church, and along the way formed genuine relationships with people, and I loved every moment of it. And so I share this story today because with a year of grad school ahead of me and soon a life as a working adult, I know the world will continue telling me what success looks like. Yet my name is a reminder that I shine the most when I am myself, not bound by expectations, nor by my own fears. And so my name is Shine, and this is my story. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Shine, for reminding us the power of name, owning up to it, and just being who we are. So thank you. Another round of applause. Hope you continue to shine and being your true self, which is a reminder of where we are each day. So super excited to continue on. And next we are going to hear from Grace, who's going to talk about ing and ung. And I am curious what she has to share. Floor is yours, Grace.
Can you guys see this? Okay, can you guys see this? Okay, so my name is Grace Hom and welcome to my TED Talk. Before I begin, I do want to thank Scott for giving me inspiration for some parts of this presentation. So a quote that Monica has brought up many times is, "Change how you think to change how you feel," by Robin Roberts. And I happen to really like this quote, so I want to show you guys what it means to me. I'm sure we all have a door in our lives that we are standing in front of, a door that we aren't sure of opening. Well, in my life, one of the doors was social anxiety and fear of cameras. In middle school, I was terrified of saying "here" for roll call, and I had to say that 8 times every single day. And for me to be able to sit here in front of a camera, talking to my new community for a whole 6 weeks, I think I've come a long way. And this is how I did that. First, I asked myself, why? Why do I want to go to this program where I know I will have to talk to so many new people? Well, that's exactly why. I wanted to meet people who I have never met before, hear their stories, get to know new perspectives, and take skills back for me to use in my own life. So now this is exactly why I wanted to open the door. So at first I hesitated to open the door like most people, but then I added the ing, IgniteNextGen, which was me opening the door. And then I finally walked through. So I went from should I do it to I'm doing it. And whether that's networking or communicating my story through little sketches or failure resumes or my vision board, I was able to add the ing throughout this program. And I like to view my life as a canvas. I choose the colors that I like and the designs that I vision for myself. So my biggest takeaway is to not be scared of failure, to not let fear prevent you from drawing beautiful pictures. If you have a passion for something, that's your paintbrush. It's in your hands. It's okay if you drop your paintbrush every once in a while. That doesn't mean you did something wrong, right? So every time I fall back into my middle school days and experience that fear again, I just pick my paintbrush back up, total it, dust it off, and start painting again. And if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be in this program sitting in front of you guys today. So say yes, and let's get to painting.
Well, thank you, Grace. A round of applause and appreciation for that thoughtfulness. So now I know I can it's okay if I drop my paintbrush because Grace gave us the permission that is okay in taking risk. And that frame of mindset is so important. And so thank you, Grace, for sharing that. With that being said, I believe next we have Lucas, who's going to talk about the ups and downs. And we are indeed living through this year with that and curious to see what you have to share.
Okay,
It's yours.
so let me just share my screen really quickly. Well, before I begin, I would like to say that these are going to be hard acts to follow. Everyone did such a great job, and I'm so proud of you all. Okay, I hope you all are ready to see this picture I'm about to show. So as you can see, I am dressed up as Russell from the movie Up. My high school has an annual Halloween costume contest for seniors, and I took items from around my house and bought a few things using my own money. Now you might be thinking, why am I showing you these pictures of myself? Before I explain, I want to show you all this selfie I took during the 7th grade. Okay, so not the most flattering picture of myself, but I was feeling my look at the time, so let's just go with it. So during my first week of school, a girl came up to me and said, "You look like Russell from Up." So at the time, I'll admit that I was offended, and I took it as fat shaming and racially insensitive. But I'll have you all see for yourselves. So like Susan, I'm a nerd, I still am, and I own it. Even though I sort of saw the resemblance, I had to put on this mask. And what I mean by that is no one actually knew that I didn't like being associated with Russell. My mentality was to do what it takes to fit in, especially going to a school with a small percentage of Asian people, while also getting good grades, of course. To this day, it's something that I regret, but we all make mistakes, don't we? A few years later, I was able to take my mask off, take my power back, and be truly happy with myself. I would say going out of my comfort zone and dressing as Russell helped with my self-esteem on the surface, but overthinking still takes over at times. However, IgniteNextGen helped with the self-esteem issues I had on the inside, so it worked out. By showing this different side of myself, I want you all to find ways to turn negative experiences into positive ones. Looking back, I'm glad that girl said that to me. Her words have honestly changed the way I perceive certain situations. Instead of holding a grudge, take the high road and grow as a person from it. Someone is always going to have something to say, so live your most authentic life. When I head off to college, these nuggets of wisdom will remain in the back of my mind. I did something completely unexpected by dressing as Russell, but I did it for myself and not for others. I ended up winning the most creative award for the costume contest, and not to flex, but I was also awarded an Amazon gift card. Who knew a Pixar movie could have such a meaningful impact on my life? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucas, so much. I think we need to figure out how to get you a trip over there so that we can make sure we have so but man, the reminders of the messages, we can own up our stories. And thank you, Lucas, for showing how you did so with the beautiful story and sharing that reflection. Reminder that we can take our mask off. I know we have layers of it over here, but we've taken the work out of it. So with that being said, thank you, Lucas. Another round of applause. And next we have Chloe Park, who's going to talk about being empowered. So the floor is yours when you are ready.
Okay, can everyone see my screen? Okay. Why isn't it? There we go. Okay, so today I'm going to tell you the story of how I've been empowered by strong women throughout my life and how that has made me the person that I am today. So for starters, my mom is the strongest woman that I know, and she was definitely the first example in my life of this trend that will follow me to this day. She doesn't take no for an answer. She always tells it like it is, and she definitely knows her worth. She passed these principles on to me, which became even more apparent over the years. And she still sometimes closes her eyes in pictures. So on top of being a strong woman, she supported my indecisiveness and let me pursue multiple extracurriculars growing up. I started soccer and dance around the age of 3, and not only did this give me an outlet for my energetic personality, but it also gave me spaces to be surrounded by strong girls that were my age. Doing these activities not only kept me in shape, but they also taught me life lessons, like working with people that you don't necessarily like, team building, and of course, the power of women. I ended up playing soccer until the end of my 8th grade, and I switched to lacrosse in high school, where I was once again surrounded by an amazing group of girls. But this was different because I went to an all-girls high school. I came in not knowing a single person, but I was empowered every single day because at school, not only were girls not afraid to speak up and raise their hands in class and be goofy and sing our hearts out to Hannah Montana on the quad during lunch and have dance-offs, but every ASB president, team captain, and any other campus leader were girls. My high school, oh, I don't know why. Okay. My high school experience was unique and oftentimes unexplainable, but the most important thing that I learned during my time there is that empowered women empower women, and tearing each other down is unnecessary. I made an amazing group of friends who led by example and pushed me to reach my fullest potential. Several of these girls are still my best friends, and even after we all went off to different colleges. When I got to college, I felt comfortable with myself because of my upbringing and my unique high school experience, but I knew that this all-girls environment was missing. So I decided to join a sorority. I was hesitant at first because of all the bad things that I'm sure that we've all heard, but when I walked into Theta's room, it reminded me so much of my high school, and I happily accepted my bid. I am now surrounded by 200 leading women in a diverse organization who are leaders all over campus, and who again push me to be my best self because of how accomplished they all are, even if it is intimidating at times. We proudly have the highest GPA on campus and are even rewarded with a special pin for getting a 4.0 because it is so common. But academics and accolades aside, I've met my best friends, roommates, and overall strong women through this organization, and I wouldn't want it any other way. So, as you can see, strong women have been such an important theme in my life and are the reason why I am the empowered woman standing before you today. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much for that powerful reminder that we are the average of the 5 people we spend with. Because if we want to empower, be empowered, we absolutely need to spend time with them. So, Chloe, thank you very much. Another round of applause and appreciation for the amazing talk you did and reminders on the important lesson. So, with that being said, I believe to build on that, we have another perspective to add. Iris, when you are ready, we're going to hear what you had to share on mother tongue. Please.
Yes, I have an essay, so I'm just going to be reading it. All right. 저는 한국말을 잘 못해요. I can't speak Korean well. I memorized this phrase in middle school in the off chance that someone one day might assume my Koreanness and approach me. Although I grew up craving kimchi jjigae over pizza and knew more K-dramas than American TV, I felt less Korean than any of my friends who were fluent in the language. I have a very distinct memory from when I was 4 or 5 years old, stringing together random sounds in my mouth in the belief that one day that gibberish would just turn into comprehensible Korean, but that day never came. But what bothered me most about my poor Korean was the limit that it placed on my relationship with my grandparents. Every Christmas, I would tell myself that by this time next year, I'll be able to speak with my grandparents with more than just a greeting. And every time I would renew that promise. I longed for a conversation with my harabuji without my mom's translating whisper in my ear, one where I could ask him for myself what he thinks about Black lives or if he ever regretted immigrating. You know, I always cry when I'm watching the first 10 minutes of Up, and I cried so hard when Aquafina's Mei waved goodbye in the farewell. Old people just make me cry. But I associate that crying, though, not with sadness, but with learned helplessness. I blame my parents for never forcing me to respond to them in Korean. I blame the education system for never teaching me. I even blame my short tongue for not being as lithe as the ones that could like roll R's and touch noses. Then on a day so recent that it's embarrassing, my mom was telling me how my grandpa loves to talk about when he hung onto the top of a train to escape North Korea, a story I've heard 1,000 times. But that day I just felt the push to ask one more question. I asked her, Mom, what was your harmony like? And just like that, I think the stories just flooded out. She told me about how my great-grandmother was the strongest woman that she knew, that she not only took my toddler harabuji across the border, but went back 2 more times to get her 10 other children. And on the 3rd time got caught and was forced to survive that winter in a hut. I learned about my grandpa's youngest sister, who married a Greek man and lost much of her Korean. And so they wait for the day to be reunited for one last translated conversation from north to south to west. So as you can probably guess, I cried. This time though, I cried because I realized how after almost 2 decades, there was no problem with my accent. My refusal to speak a word of Korean does not stem from some imposing tower in the distance of like a language barrier. Instead, it was my own stubbornness weaving this keep out fence around my own tongue. I know now that there's a beauty to my Korean American accent and my incessant mispronunciation of golf, which I say golf, and like vacuum, which I say vacuum. They are living reminders of the generations before me. These stories that spoke me into being. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. I mean, yes, we all have that language, both quote, quote, struggle and opportunity. And the reminder that sometimes it starts with a question. And I just thank you very much for walking the talk and inspiring us how we can do so in our spaces and rethinking what that means. So another round of applause and appreciation for what you've shared and how we can rethink about language in the questions. And with that, I believe the next person we have is Alan, who is going to talk about what the Green New Deal research has taught you about networking. And so whenever you're ready, we'll love to hear from you.
Yeah, so my presentation is going to be a little bit different in that I'm going to be introducing research and what has personally meant a lot for me. So my presentation is going to be about what my Green New Deal research has taught me about networking. So to start, for the past 6 months, I have been working on a political science research paper that I'm currently expanding in hopes of getting published, exciting stuff. It's been quite the journey for me personally because I used to believe that law school is just by and far the best way to go about my life. But I realized that I was living other people's expectations and not my own. So now I'm pursuing grad school and also doing research. Essentially, what we were interested in was observing whether or not Republican voters were genuinely ideologically opposed to the policy components of the Green New Deal, or if it's just being told that it was a Democratic policy by a Democratic politician named Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that drove their opposition. So to observe, we showed our sample 10 components of the Green New Deal without telling them that they were part of the Green New Deal in a random order, 9 of which were policy components of the Green New Deal, like a transition to renewable energy or reforming the transportation system in this country. A 10th component was the reveal of the identity of the policy of the Green New Deal, as well as its sponsors. So what we did was we measured the net change in support levels after being shown each component. The results were really, really striking. While this is only a portion of all of the data that we collected, the essential premise that ended up happening was that all Republicans reacted net positively to all the policy components that we showed them. But the strongest reaction that they had was not positively in favor of any particular policy component, but negatively when being shown that this policy was by AOC and was by Democrats. Grid efficiency improvements, for example, which I've highlighted in the left side of the graph, had a pretty modest positive rating, but that doesn't even come close to the negative rating that the partisan component had. So what does this all mean? And Alan, how are you going to possibly tie this to networking? Well, I believe that we find ourselves in a world oversaturated with media messaging, that those who don't share our political beliefs are irredeemably opposed to us, that we do not and should not have anything in common with them. Sometimes this is for a good reason. For example, I think everyone can legitimately have a reason to oppose anti-mask activists. I'm sorry if you are one, but sometimes it is for good reason. And other times, however, we're inevitably going to have to interact with people who do not align with us politically at some point in our networking careers. Instead of just completely rejecting them, we should maybe try our best to find commonalities. I have believed all my life that Republican voters would rather see the world burn and Mother Earth slowly die off into an irredeemable state. But Republican voters had just matched my interest and passion for climate policy. And maybe all of you and I can work to find similar shared interests in those that we see as our political opposites. Thank you so much. And yeah, hope you learned something.
Thank you, Alan, for that thoughtful presentation. A round of applause and insightful in thinking about the relationships we have in life, right? Yes, it is absolutely easy to hang out with the people we look like and think like, but how in the world are we going to bring change if we're only hanging out with those that we are aligned? So, Alan, thank you for that thoughtful message. Another round of applause and thoughtful sharing on that. And with that being said, I believe our next presenter is Hong-Jung Kim, who's going to talk about what is the purpose of my life. You know, I would like to know my purpose in life too. So I am curious what wisdom you have to share. So floor is yours when you are ready, John.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Hi, everyone. I'm John Seung-Jin Kim, And before I begin, I'd like to thank Monica and the rest of the leadership team for all that they've done for us. It's been an incredible 6 weeks, and I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone when we say thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And without further ado, I'd like to dive right into my presentation. What's the purpose of my life? The purpose of my life is inseparable from my identity. I'm a Korean American, born to immigrant parents, born in North Carolina, raised in Virginia, and currently in Texas. I love to play instruments from violin and piano to acoustic guitar and drums. I love to read books, everything from fiction to historical novels. I love nature, from biking, going camping, going on walks with friends, to stargazing. I'm a student at Yale studying political science. I'm passionate about law. I care a lot about my friends, and I would not be here without the support and love of my parents and my sister. I'm 20 years old, and I crave Korean food as much as I crave American food. But most importantly, my identity comes from being a follower of Christ and a child of God. And so I believe that I've been created in the image of God himself, that he's shaped me and molded me into the person I am today. I believe that he's my personal designer, and he's brought me into existence for a purpose. And the same God loves me so much to the point that he gave up his one and only son, Jesus Christ, to come down to earth and die on the cross for my sins. And so for this God who's given up everything and loves me so dearly, I'm willing to dedicate my whole life for him. I love him with all my heart, with all my soul and mind and my strength. And whatever I do, I want to do it for his glory. And so no matter what field or career I pursue, no matter where I end up living, short-term or long-term, I'd like to live for him. And so in short, my identity is derived from many factors, but most importantly, it comes from being a child of God and a follower of Christ. And my purpose is tied to that. It's to glorify him and honor him in everything that I do. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you, everyone. And I'll toss it right back to Monica. Thanks.
Thank you, John, so much for that thoughtfulness in the layers of it. Wow. I mean, yes, how often are we living our day-to-day in routine? Why are we living? Why are you even waking up? And just showing that visual of like, yes, we have all these different aspects of who makes us as an identity, but what is our North Star? And so learning about your North Star and hearing where you go, John, thank you. Lend a round of applause, appreciation of what you've shared, and gratitude on building on that. And so with that being said, I believe we're going to next hear from Christy, who's going to talk about the seed of friendship. And yes, indeed, friendship is important, and we'll love to hear what you have to share. So when you're ready.
Thank you so much, Monica. Hello, everybody. My name is Christy, and I had such a wonderful experience with the IgniteNextGen program, formed so many great friendships and connections. And so I created a poem titled The Seed of Friendship. So here it is. Friendship is like a tree, sprouting from the tiniest of initiatives. From just the littlest seed, it takes root. Planting itself firmly into the ground, it grows slowly and surely, continuously nurtured and cherished. Though winter winds blow and ruffle the leaves, and summer heat scorches each one by one, the tree neither gives up nor dies, but instead grows stronger. So it is with true friendships, for as the challenges and winds of life blow and buffet the people around you, still you can choose to remain. And by still remaining a friend, regardless of what happens, a strong friendship will hang on throughout the tempests in life, conquering the gusts of wind blown in all directions, with none prevailing. For the tree of friendship has been set on a solid foundation, and no matter how hard the wind blows and buffets its leaves, still that tree will remain through it all. Thank you so much.
Wow, Christy, thank you for that goosebump poem. The visuals, I feel like I'm seeing a tree in front of me, and all the relationships and the fruits that you are bearing through the programs and life forward. So thank you, Christy. Another round of appreciation for your thoughtful sharing and wonderful poem. in depth on that. And so with that being said, I'm now curious to hear from our next presenter, Hannah, who's going to tell me more about Tell Me More. So look forward to hearing what you have to share. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Monica. Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah, and in the spirit of vulnerability, I want to share with you a part of my life that for the longest time I've shied away from. Approximately 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet my birth mother. Growing up adopted, I always had an immense curiosity towards Korea, my birth family, and though I was surrounded by a loving family and community, I longed to see a resemblance of myself in someone else. I dreamt of the day I reunite with my birth mother and often wondered whether we'd embrace in a fit of tears or if we'd look each other up and down, smiling ear to ear. Nothing could have prepared me for what lay ahead, though. I was informed through my adoption agency that my birth mother is a diagnosed schizophrenic, living in a home that provides her with daily care. And upon meeting her for the first time, she took one look at me and blatantly denied that I was her daughter. My expectations were completely and utterly shattered. At that time, my birth mother was in an extremely dark place. The picture of a warm and embracing mother I had painted in my mind sharply contrasted her inability to fully function as an adult. The happily ever after reunion I had seen other adoptees go through definitely was not the case for me. To this day, I continue to process the emotions revolving this experience and struggle navigating this newfound relationship in my life. It doesn't exactly fit into any cookie cutter title like mother and daughter. When we received this challenge on Monday, my thought process consisted of what could I possibly share that would be interesting and that I'm not that fascinating of a person. I think that because we live our lives with ourselves 24/7, we become so used to our own narratives, and the very personal experiences that we've gone through become, in a sense, normalized. As Brené Brown puts it, the irony is that we attempt to disown our difficult stories to appear more whole or more acceptable. But our wholeness, even our wholeheartedness, actually depends on the integration of all of our experiences, including our falls. The reality is your experiences are worthy to be shared. And just as the IgniteNextGen Fellowship has challenged me, I now challenge each and every one of you to tell me more. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, so much for challenging us on what that means to tell me more. I mean, wow, rounds of applause and appreciation. I know it's not easy for sharing deep stories, and just the power again of that whole picture, not the filter, not the mask offs as we talked about earlier, but that full story. Another round of applause for Hannah. Thank you for sharing that. And next, we are curious to hear from Jay Lee. We'll be talking about flat face. And so now I'm curious, we do want to, if you can tell me more, what in fact you'll be sharing more in your story. So the floor is yours.
All right, can you guys see that? Hold on, can you see it? Gotcha, all right. So this is a picture of me as a dumb kid. And that's okay. I can say that because I was that kid. That kid was me. And if you're gonna call anyone stupid, it can only be you as a kid. Frozen because it's been freezing up on me just now.
Jay, I think you're on mute. Are you able to unmute and give it a try again?
Yeah, for some reason, my internet just cut out for some reason. It's always like right when I'm about to talk.
We hear you, we see you. So let us know when your slide is ready and I'll start then.
All right, cool. Everyone can see it now? Okay, so this is a picture of me as a dumb kid, and that's okay because I can say that I was that kid, and that kid was me. And you can only say dumb things about you if you're a kid. So as a kid, I was very self-conscious about my appearance, and I always knew that something about me was different. I just thought that that I was ugly, which maybe to some people I was, but I didn't really understand a lot as a kid. And one of the things I didn't understand was that people can judge me solely on my appearance. And lately, I've been thinking back to something that would constantly be told to me in elementary school by kids in the lunch line. They would tell me my face was too flat. And that's true. On average, Korean people have a less prominent nose bridge than other ethnicities. And, you know, being the only Korean kid in my grade, I didn't know that I was normal in that regard. I always assumed that there was something wrong with me. I always thought that there was something wrong with, you know, being Korean. That was really confusing because I was really proud of who I was, of being able to talk to my parents in a secret language, or having real good Korean food every day at home. But it would be fun, but people would make fun of me for speaking chingchong words or having smelly kimchi in my lunchbox. You know, it was just frustrating to have people be so ignorant about who I am or where I came from. You know, generally speaking, the face that I'm speaking to you with now, this is the same face that I was born with. And other than some, you know, natural aging and scarring, it's pretty much the same face. I have a flat face, and right now I'm proud of it. I think that more people should be proud of the way they look. You don't need to be ashamed of your identity because it's something worth valuing. I think it's also a thing worth studying and teaching, because learning about your heritage and background and being proud of your identity, appearance, and all is important. A lot of people have a very superficial understanding of Koreans. So a lot of their perceptions revolve around appearance. You know, it's slightly better these days, but one time I was in a restaurant and I heard a group of teen girls whispering from behind my back, "Oh my God, do you think that's a K-pop star? Is that BTS?" And then I turned around and they were reasonably disappointed. They did not like what they saw. So I do think that the way that people perceive Koreans is somewhat flawed because of this. And for a lot of people, the word Korea only summons pictures of nuclear warheads and elite spies in their heads. And some people can't wrap their heads around the fact that China, Korea, and Japan are separate countries. And it's really a shame because these countries are so dynamic. And Korean people are proud, and it's really inspiring to see the passion that all of them have. And I've seen it through my other fellows and my mentors. So right now I work at the Korean Studies Institute at USC as part of my work study. And the reason I was drawn to it is because I feel a connection to people dedicating their energy towards promoting the presence of Korean and Asian people socially, economically, and politically. And I want to be a part of a future where we dedicate a lot of time and effort in learning about Korea, not just pop culture, but also the way that people have influenced the US as foreigners, immigrants, and active American citizens. You know, but whatever the path looks like, all I want is for some kid out there to know that having a flat face isn't bad at all. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jay, so much for sharing that thoughtful message. Now we can have our cameras back on for those who are coming back in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give another round of applause and reminder that, man, yes, I mean, I don't think that thought process disappears as we get older. We see a lot on media what we think the nice face or the right image is, but that's not true. Us being where we are is exactly the way it is, and finding that voice. And so, Jay, thank you for sharing that and empowering us with your message. Another round of applause and appreciation for your truth and thoughtful story sharing. With that being said, I believe the next person we have is Casey, who's going to share about feminism. And yes, indeed, we have a lot of powerful, thoughtful folks here, and we'll love to hear what you have to share. So the floor is yours when you are ready. And happy birthday.
Thank you. Oh, can you see it? All right. So this is me for feminism. So I'm KCU. And you can think of my sisters and I as the big three of K-pop. So Phoebe is JYP, I'm YG, and then Mira is SM. I'm the oldest, and Mira is 2 years younger than I am, and then Phoebe's 4 years younger. But then when I was 14 going on 15, boom, big hit arrives. And just like how BTS took over the world, my youngest sister Margot came into our lives and completely turned it upside down with her chubbiness and her cuteness. And she became the heartbeat of our home, and we absolutely adore her. So we went from being a family of 3 daughters to a family of 4. So our Korean names are Misun, Mida, Migyung, Mihe, and we call ourselves Mi4. Margot is now 6 years old and she's grown up to be a super creative, funny, My Little Pony loving little sister, and we adore watching her grow up. But when my mom was pregnant with her, people would always ask like, oh, do you want a boy? And then after she was born and people would hear that there are 4 daughters, they would say, oh my gosh, your poor dad. That's so many girls. Like, it must be so hard for him. And that made me so upset and angry because I realized that my family's identity was first focused on the absence of sons rather than the existence of the 4 daughters. And I didn't want that mindset to affect my own sisters, especially Margot, because people think of her as the last chance to have had a son, or that she wasn't planned for us. And although admittedly, we didn't expect her to join our lives, we're so happy and blessed that she is. So for myself, like, I always challenge myself to be the best role model on me that I can be for them, to show them that you can be a confident, strong, funny, kind, intelligent, badass Korean American woman and not need to pay attention to comments that focus on where having so many daughters is a burden or a lost opportunity to not have had a son. And nowadays, people tell my parents that they're rich with daughters because we'll take care of them in their old age. I would rather like to reframe that because I feel that it restricts us to traditional gender roles. I would rather it be where my parents are rich in daughters because we are good people with strong values. And so I know earlier I set us up as separate K-pop companies, but I would like to think that we are now a united, powerful girl group like 21. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Casey. Wow, what a powerful reference. And building on that, the importance of reframing. And, just the reminder again that it's a lot of things that happens in life, expected and unexpected. But most importantly, we own up to those stories of how we build those relationships, both within the family and the world around us. And so, Casey, thank you for the powerful reminder. Your family is lucky indeed to have wonderful family members who are thinking not just for themselves, but together. So another round of applause and appreciation for your thoughtful sharing and inspiring us how we connect with one another. With that being said, now I want to check in with our next presenter, Kirsten, who will be talking about the little inner voice called overthinking. I'm guilty. I have that one too, and I think many of us do. So we are pumped to hear whenever you are ready.
Okay, so I'm gonna just jump right in, because my intro is actually part of the presentation. So let's get started. My name is Kirsten. I am a second-generation cisgender heterosexual Korean American born and raised in the greater LA area in a middle-class Christian family. In this single sentence, I can already pinpoint several privileges that I have. Wait, no, this is not what I really want to talk about. Everyone has heard this phrase at least once. It's okay not to be okay. Wait, hold up. Is this what I really want to talk about for 3 minutes? Does this show me, or is this me putting up a show? How about Everybody Hates Me? Kind of like the Epic High song. But this sounds like I'm trying to get people's pity. I don't necessarily want that, but I also want to be honest about how I feel. What about something along the lines of, not your typical Korean American, or I'm not the person you knew? All of these thoughts were racing in my mind as I tried to think about what to say. There are so many stories that I wanted to share that I really didn't know what to talk about for 3 minutes, or should I say 2 minutes, give or take. Honestly, this is me on a daily basis. Every moment, every minute, every hour, every day, my mind is constantly overthinking and on edge, constantly in fear. What if people don't like me? What if I say the wrong things and people don't understand the points that I'm trying to get across? What if people think I'm dumb and will always see me in a negative light? What if I am someone that can be tossed to the side, someone that can easily be replaced? What if I forget to say something that I only later realize I wish I said? What if people think I'm taking too much space and trying to be the center of attention when I'm not? All these what ifs, the ones I have mentioned, are only in the handful of the many what ifs racing across my brain. It's what's eating me from the inside and transforms me into my worst critic, a person so afraid of the countless opportunities and endless potential for immense growth. It frustrates me knowing that I know better than all of these doubts, but I can't help but trying to figure out the next step, to prepare the next several steps ahead in the future, to essentially read what lies ahead of me. whether that be other people's responses or the results of a given action. I want to know what happened and brace myself for the outcome. Having a sense of control is the ultimate defense mechanism, designed so that I wouldn't get disappointed, if not hurt. Kirsten, this overthinking is not going to disappear overnight. In fact, this is probably going to be ongoing throughout different seasons of life, but that's okay. We all tend to overthink and worry about the outside world's perceptions. However, you can be the bigger person. Be honest, be vulnerable. Acknowledge that it exists, but know you are also your own advocate. Don't be afraid to fight these inner thoughts and seek help if needed. I know it's not the answer you want. The thoughts are far from complete and will still be a headache, but it's the more reason why it's that much more powerful. The beauty of this incomplete picture called life is that it is an ongoing story that has room for growth. Use these doubts and transform them into something empowering and long-lasting. Take control of your story. Don't let that inner voice of doubt take that away from you. Keep being your spunky, genuine self that you've been and show the world what you can do. I know you have so much to give. So Kirsten, turn that inner voice from your worst critic to your best cheerleader. Don't be scared to assume the best of others and give yourself more credit. I believe you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. I mean, powerful insights and reflection. And man, I mean, let's be honest, we all have that inner critic and it is a natural part of who we are. But thank you for your wisdom sharing and how we can maybe be friends with that instead of not hating that. So thank you, Kirsten. Another round of applause for that thoughtful messaging and how we can reframe our minds. And literally, yes, inside out, we had a little love chat going on in appreciation of helping us think a moment about our brain. With that being said, I mean, wow, let me take a quick pause. Like, how is everyone doing? Aren't you like pumped to see all these amazing stories? I know initially when I checked in with you all, you were like, Monica, like, why are you making us? I thought we were going to just party. But I just want to say a deep gratitude already. I mean, these stories are so needed. Somebody out there is probably listening to this, being reminded that, you know what, maybe today then is the day that I can speak up and do something different. And so we have a few more to continue on, but just wanted to take a moment and pause of appreciation. Another round of applause for everyone who has done so far and more that we have to come. And so with that being said, next we have Justin Chu, who's going to talk about how to change the world, a topic that I think we would all really like because that's why I know many of us are taking the program. So with that being said, the floor is yours and we are here for you.
Awesome. Can you guys see that? Yeah. All right, then. There's not much that this small second-year student in college can teach a large group of educated and passionate scholars. So I decided to stick with an easy topic. I decided to try to show you guys how I'm going to show you guys how to change the world. So for all you guys that don't know, my name is Justin Chi. I'm a midshipman at the U.S. Naval Academy, and I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things I've learned from my experiences at the Naval Academy, specifically my time over plebe summer. Now, once you arrive at the Naval Academy, you're automatically branded with the title plebe, which has a similar connotation as fresh meat. And plebe summer begins. It lasts 10 weeks and is built to break you down as a civilian in order to build you back up as a sailor in the United States Navy. And there's three really important aspects that I learned over my time during plebe summer. So let's get started. The Navy invests a lot into the training in sailors in hand-to-hand combat, ground fighting battle tactics, and self-defense techniques for use on the battlefield. Every single student at the Naval Academy endures through courses in boxing, wrestling, hand-to-hand combat, ground fighting maneuvers, and karate. But something seemed weird to me on my first day in all these trainings. We never learned how to punch or kick on the first day, not even know how to take the hit, but we always learned how to receive the hits and how to bounce back from them. And that always seemed really strange to me. But as I thought about it more, no boxer ever enters a match fully believing that he's not going to get hit. Every boxer knows that he's going to get hit, and it's very realistic. He knows, he prepares, and he spends years learning how to bounce back from them. So if you guys want to change the world, learn how to take the punches and bounce back from them. So we have a lot of trainings at the Naval Academy, but one sticks out, and it's called the sugar cookie, mainly because for 3 consecutive hours, you're in uniform rolling around the sandy beaches doing workout after workout until your body is completely covered in wet sand. The training ultimately ends with a mile paddle on an inflated raft where you and 7 others paddle your way to the other side of the coast, where you can finally conclude the training. As I found myself paddling, I realized that our boat was turning off course because one of our fellow plebes had lost his strength to paddle. This severely threw us off our course, and it wasn't until someone behind him called him out and encouraged him to keep paddling. This life isn't meant for us to go through it alone. If you guys want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. And lastly, every single day we were expected to make our beds. That's the very first thing that we do when we wake up. And we're expected to make it to perfection. Our racks need to be spotless with no wrinkles and a perfect 45-degree hospital corner at the foot of the bed. And if it was anything short of perfection, the details would flip the entire mattress onto the floor and tell you to redo it. I struggled a lot with this, and there were some days where the whole entire day I'd just be remaking my bed over and over again. And I really struggled with the thought about why I need to do this. If I'm a bred soldier going to battle, it was so important for me to fix my bed properly. And it didn't hit me until recently where I realized that this taught me a really important lesson in life, and that it's the small things matter. If someone can't get trusted to do the small things right, you can never be trusted with the big things. So if you guys want to change the world, focus on the small things in life. Thank you.
Wow, Justin, thank you so much for that worldwide wisdom. I mean, I jotted down 3 again, just a reminder again, small things matter. How do we be realistic? And knowing that we cannot go on this road alone. I hope that was a reminder again for all of us, no matter where we are, that we need to take a step back and not just think and envision where we are alone. So Justin, thank you very much. Another round of applause and appreciation of what you have shared. And building on that and what we can do to change the world. With that being said, I believe next we have Chan Young, who's going to tell us about the habit of learning. I mean, we're doing a lot of learning. We'd be certainly curious what your habits are and what you have to share. So the floor is yours whenever you are ready.
Okay, can everyone see and hear me? Okay, so hi, my name is Chan Young, and this is my, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so hi, my name is Chan Young, and this is going to be my presentation. And I'll begin with a story. So in 5th grade, I had to take ESL classes because I was a recent immigrant at the time, and I didn't know the language that well. One day, the lesson wasn't pronouncing words with the letter L, and that task was a problem for me. See, something that I already tried and failed before, I just couldn't get it right. So when my teacher asked me to pronounce the word will, I told her that I couldn't. I gave her my best, but incorrect attempts. It was too hard. So my teacher came up with an idea. She gave me a piece of candy, told me to put it underneath my tongue, and asked me to try again. That didn't work, but the candy seemed to help, so I started practicing with it. The first day I couldn't do it, the second day I still couldn't, but on the 3rd day I was able to do it. I was able to say the word will, and boy was I happy. This story, when I look back at it now, is a moment in my life that shaped my thinking. I remember thinking, if I put in meaningful time and effort, maybe I can learn other things. And this idea has been helping me take on new challenges ever since. I call it a habit of learning. In high school, my belief that I can learn something helped me step out of my comfort zone and learn for the first time, dance. I was so embarrassed and so bad at first, but eventually, with time and effort, I became skilled enough to join a team and win 1st place in USA Nationals. This is a fun example. There's a game that my friend and I used to play that I was the worst at. I wanted to be on the same level with them, so I started putting some time into it, and after enjoying the process, became decent enough to start placing in tournaments. And as I graduated high school and went to community college, I began to think about what I wanted to learn and where I wanted to go. I wasn't a good student at the time, so I challenged myself to learn how to study properly. And after time and effort, I was able to do well in my classes and ended up transferring to UC Berkeley. So why does this concept matter? There's a book that I love called Atomic Habits. In it, there's a simple but powerful idea that the action you take is a vote for your identity. For instance, if you build a habit to run, you're casting votes for yourself to become a runner. For me, I enjoy the habit of learning because in this way, it's a way for me to become a learner, someone who can step out of his comfort zone and try new challenges. And as I look forward to the skills I need to start learning, like conversational skills, my first thought is, oh man, that looks complex and difficult. But my next thought is, hey, wait a minute, let me learn first and see how it goes. It might take some interesting steps, such as a piece of candy, but let me learn first and see. Because learning is a way to try out new challenges and shape who I am. So for this reason, the habit of learning is important to my ongoing story, and I'm excited to see what I will learn next. Thank you.
Thank you, Chayo, so much. I mean, wow, we're learning about everyone's secret. The last day, this feels unfair of all the learning journey. Wow, a powerful reminder that, I mean, as Susan has said way back, whatever time earlier, life is a long, long journey. There's many ways that we're going to learn, many ways that we're going to want to continue to grow, and hopefully might as well enjoy doing so. And so, Chayo, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom, what inspired you, and also how you got to learn these new skills and continue to seek. So another round of applause and great work in what you have shared, which will now next tie to our next presenter, Sky, who's going to talk about, her name is Han. Very intrigued to hear what the story is, and the floor is yours whenever you are ready.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm going to do a bit of storytelling. Thank you for listening in advance. So these days, I call my 할머니 Lady Han, not just because her so-called Korean maiden name is Han from the Korean word 한국, but also because for me, she has particularly embodied the other Han, that is the complex and collective sense of what I believe to not just be suffering, but also resilience amidst those hardships in Korean culture. So I grew up as the daughter of a single father and in quite a male-dominated space, I think, as I was mainly surrounded by my older brother, my 할아버지, and my two uncles, all on my dad's side. And so my life was subsequently influenced a lot by normative views on Korean masculinity and patriarchy, and also those on Korean femininity. So between me and my 할머니, I think we really grew to find a home in each other amidst those circumstances of repeatedly having to manage our bodies and emotions to cater to the needs of others, just because we were women. So from our mutual experiences and struggles, though, we still do clash due to generational differences, especially on matters like family and femininity. And for years, my 할머니 has also, reinforced these gender roles and did what my 할아버지 said because he was a man and thus the head of the household. But these days, she is fed up, like formalities be damned. And my 할아버지 dad and uncles are shook. They weren't ready, but I'm so here for her Han energy these days because she curses up a storm in both Korean and English. She watches WWE wrestling almost every night. She trash talks when we play games like Jenga and Hwatu. If you are acting dumb or being inconsiderate, she will call you a 바보 멍청. And if you complain about her cooking, she will tell you to choke on it for being so ungrateful. So like what I mean to say is that my 할머니 has always been the stable rock of my family. And there's a lot of sorrow, grief, and resentment that she personally holds, but that does not stop her from living her life and loving and caring for others in ways that rejuvenate and teaches you how to love, support, and uplift others. So like if food is the language of love, like my 할머니 speaks it better than Korean. My dad, 할아버지, and uncles are often like taken aback by her acerbic language these days because they didn't really expect her to like bite back after all these years of quiet forgiveness and consideration. But I knew all along that she had this. My 할머니 has taught me through her actions how to stand up for myself and love people. She has taught me forgiveness and humility, but also humor and self-confidence. So I want to be like many other Korean women are or are learning how to grow to become, someone who won't just acquiesce to other people's expectations, especially if it turns out that they're toxic and limit you from expressing yourself, taking charge, and recognizing that you deserve better. And this applies so much in the interpersonal relationships I build, not only within my immediate family, but in all aspects of my life, be it community building, networking, or just generally where I see myself in the future. Thank you.
Wow, thank you guys so much for that thoughtful, powerful insight sharing. I mean, yes, like I think we're having in the chat box, boom, love of all our grandmas and grandpas, but grandmas, thank you for sharing that, and that there are layers to the story. And it reminds us, hey, going back to all the stories that we've been sharing, the people around us, are we asking enough questions to get to know where they are, to know the layers behind it? And Sky, thank you very much. Can we give another round of applause of appreciation of your thoughtful sharing and powerful story of how our amazing people are nearby? So with that being said, we have our next presenter, Siren, who's going to talk about Zoom. Indeed, we are on Zoom doing this presentation, but I am curious to hear, to share. We are ready when you are.
Okie dokie. Let's do this. How's everyone's attention spans? Are you guys doing okay? Yes, okay, great. Okay. So year of 2020 has been one filled with Zoom. You are probably thinking of the virtual communication application, and yes, while that's true, the type of Zoom I'm referring to is of a different nature. Hi, my name is Sarah. When I was 4 years old, my younger brother almost died from leukemia. We never knew if we would have enough money for the next surgery or if his body would even survive the last procedure. So our family took everything a day at a time. And today is actually his birthday, and he's a very, very healthy lad. Anywho, this period of my life is where I first learned to escape by zooming in, to look at what is presented right in front of me and act based on that alone. Then we moved to America when I was 6 years old. Growing up in the suburbs of Ohio, I was one of the only Koreans in a predominantly white community. And being visually different from everyone around me, I began to dream of a day where I felt like I truly belonged. And this is where I learned to escape by zooming out and to imagine what is possible for me and act based on that alone. My family's prayer led me to Berklee College of Music, where my ego as a singer was obliterated. My years of choir practice didn't stand next to my fellow students' years of personal musical training. This time, I didn't know whether to zoom in or zoom out, so I ran. I ran away from pursuing my passion for the stage because of the barriers my race and background seemed to create. I ran to business, but I felt my light becoming dimmer and dimmer. Everything I did felt hollow because I was running away from my fear of failing. So I thought maybe doing what everyone else did would make me feel like I was doing something that mattered. After a confused semester of studying abroad and couch surfing around Europe, doing the things that were supposed to bring me joy, I realized that I had zoomed in a little too much. Everything was about me, myself, and I. A brutal awakening awaited me when coming back to Boston, and this time I was forced to zoom in and out at once, not to escape, but for purpose, to live fully aware of both the world beyond me and present before me. So I grabbed hands with Jesus and asked him to lead the way. He told me to live in faith, which brings me to 2020. I just graduated with master's degree in music production technology and am living a life filled with purpose. I'm an artist who released her first single on her birthday and a second single today. A musician who is living in faith here in Spain, led by God's guidance on whether to zoom in or out. And I can't exactly tell you what I'll be doing in a month from now, but what I do know is I'll be zooming towards my purpose, to uplift Asian Americans and bring representation in mainstream music and entertainment as a singer, songwriter, and creator. So to everyone who is involved in IgniteNextGen, thank you so much for helping me strengthen my zooming in and zooming out skills, quite literally and figuratively. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that thoughtful story, presentation, reflection. I mean, man, is it meta that we are on Zoom talking about this Zoom conversation? The lens of how we experience moments colors what we actually experience, right? It's not like the actual event, but how we interpret it. And as Sarun has highlighted, it is absolutely us to decide, are we zooming in, zooming out, and what we do with it. And so thank you very much for reminding us with your thoughtful sharing. Again, another round of applause for her awesome story and reflective sharing. With that being said, let me check in with our next presenter, which is Angela, who's going to share about my parents, Han. We've been having a lot of thoughtful family stories, and we cannot wait to hear yours. So the floor is yours when you are ready.
All right. Hello, everyone. Can everyone see this? All right. Okay. So I'm going to be sharing a very personal story. So again, hello, my name is Angela, and I'm going to be spending the next few moments talking about Han. Similar to Sky, it really struck me the past few weeks. So starting with this kind of quote. So some of my earliest memories are sleeping on bags of rice. So I actually wrote this for my college essay. I didn't get into the university, but it's still really kind of what I base my life around. So my parents immigrated to the United States and from South Korea separately in the late 1980s, specifically to LA. So my mom was an international student trying to be a teacher, and my dad came with his family. So following the destruction of LA riots, they moved up to Washington, and they started their own business doing what they knew and could. And they cook like many other Korean families. So my parents were like many other small business owners, working over 10-hour days, 7 days a week. And starting at the age of 3, most of my childhood I remember at my store. So whenever we were at that store, I was there, either coloring, watching TV, sleeping on bags of rice in the storage room. But even at a young age, I was very frustrated. I didn't understand why we couldn't have that American childhood, go to summer vacations. All I wanted was living in a life outside of the restaurant. So I really felt second to this building, and I really didn't know how to process these emotions, and I let it build up as resentment. And then I was first introduced to the idea of Han during Dr. O's sessions, and it really made me reflect on the concept within my own family. And I used this opportunity to talk to my parents to try to understand things that I couldn't when I was younger. So I asked questions that were hard. So, and we talked about my parents' life, their motivation, their goals, but then we also talked about my grandparents' histories. So my maternal grandparents are born in North Korea. They both moved during the war, or I guess left during the war. And my parental grandparents were born in Gwangju. But after the Gwangju uprising and then their own tragedy, they moved over to LA. So here I was complaining about the bed I napped on when it really mattered who I was surrounded by. So, and I realized to talk about trauma helps with recovery and understanding. As we grow older, it's on us to tell their stories as they're not able to. Our second generational Han, the trauma we're passed down, and the trauma of our own. And then through this fellowship, I learned the importance of communication and empowerment. Because as Korean Americans, we have the opportunity to be the connector and tell the stories of ourselves and our communities. And now we have the ability to get involved in spaces like this and share. Because we're just so much more than just ourselves. We're reflective of all the people who've touched us. Han is just one part of our lives, but we're all so much more. So while I'm still not resolved from all that resentment and the past feelings, it's definitely made me reflect on how I can overcome and how communication is really the first step in breaking those barriers. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela, for that thoughtful insight sharing. I mean, yes, indeed. Let's be honest. The best roads have a lot of unexpected places that makes us cry, that makes us upset. And sometimes we just want to say, you know what? F it. I want to give it up because it is too hard. Like, why are we doing this? So thank you for making it realistic, reminding us that it's the trauma, it's the difficult days that we have to rethink and be part of it. And so again, another round of appreciation for you sharing and reminding us what we can do differently and honoring that. So thank you. Thank you. With that being said, I want to check in now with our next presenter, Daniel, who's going to talk about how to indeed. I am curious to know. The place is yours when you are ready.
Thank you so much. So to start, I want to ask everyone to raise their hand or react if you've ever Google searched how to do something. And I'm sure it's very common. It's a common phrase to Google, and often the options that we can ask are endless. This is something that I do a lot, especially as my family's magne. I'm always looking to my older siblings and cousins to ask how to navigate certain situations. Being the youngest of 4 siblings and 12 cousins, I've been fortunate to have my family as my immediate Google search engine. And for the most part, I've had a framework in my life to follow to feel like I have it most of the way figured out. But sometimes this Google search doesn't always have the answers that life brings ahead of us. This past spring, I graduated from Harvard, where I swam for 4 years for the varsity team. And my junior year, we qualified to compete at the NCAAs, where we were slated to make history by placing in the top 10 for the first time in 30 years. With the pressure and nerves building up of this high expectation, I went to my search engine to ask my big question: how do I compete at NCAAs as a gay Korean American 5'6" tall male swimmer? I looked up to my elders as I normally did and scoured the internet for past examples in search of my how-to, but there were no answers. I stepped on deck 2 days before competition and saw no one who looked or acted like me. I stood a full head shorter than all of my competitors and teammates. And with no how-to available, I sat down with my coach the night before competition, confused and stressed out of my mind. He told me that if no one is ahead of me that has paved the path that I'm trying to follow, then it's my turn to pave it myself. I walked on deck that week, not trying to compete the way that someone else had to succeed, but the way that I wanted to succeed, with large smiles and dancing instead of warming up behind the blocks for my race. We finished in 8th place at that meet, our highest finish since 1990, and I came away with All-American honors, an Olympic trials qualification, but most importantly, a new how-to. A how-to not only to give myself to move forward, but to give others who ask in my future, just as all of my older siblings and cousins had provided with me growing up. This entire experience solidified in my mind that when there's no how-to, you have to create your own, not only for yourself, but for others moving forward. As we all continue our identity journeys through this fellowship and after this fellowship, we may not find a how-to at every single step in our career or in our identities. But that shouldn't scare us. Instead, it's a sign that it's our turn to make our own how-to. Thank you for listening.
And thank you, Daniel, for reminding us an important lesson that we should all keep in mind. I mean, yes, let's be honest. How many times are we searching for things online, looking that there is an answer somewhere, but forgetting to ask if it's here? Daniel, absolutely, all of us are in our different journeys ahead, and it's really up to us to own and seek what our how-to manual is. And so thank you again for reminding us this powerful insight, and another round of applause of appreciation of your awesome and insightful story sharing. Thank you. With that being said, we're going to next hear from David, who is going to share about the law of attraction. I'm very curious to hear because it is an important concept, and we are here for you when you are ready.
Okay, hi everyone. Wait, let me share the screen real quick. Okay. Hopefully you guys can all see that. Okay, cool. So hi everyone, my name is David G. I'm from Orange County, California. And to be honest with you guys, I am a bit overwhelmed because of all the awesome personal stories I heard today. And so with that, I'm hoping to use this talk not just as a way for me to tell you guys a little bit about myself, but to strengthen the voices of all the interesting, amazing stories that we heard today. So I think for me, the past few months have definitely been a learning experience, but more importantly, it's also been one of the more difficult patches in my life. You know, what with COVID and all, personal events going on, and, you know, just so many rapid changes occurring in our culture and communities, especially in 2020. It's been admittedly overwhelming for not just me, but I'm sure a lot of people. And so I feel like times like this is where people tend to give in to their own negative thoughts, you know, begin to lose hope, or just simply have bad days. And so I wanted to share this quick idea that I absolutely love. I'm sure you all have already heard about it before, and it's the law of attraction. And so the law of attraction, according to the first page on Google, is the belief that positive or negative thoughts bring positive or negative experiences into a person's life. And so it's a pretty good definition. And if you really looked into the idea of law of attraction ever, you'll be surprised to see a really robust and lengthy history about it. And so from spiritual experiences to there being entire philosophy books written about the concept, and it's all super duper interesting. And if you guys are wondering the way who the angry old lady glaring at you is, her name is actually Helena Blavatsky, and she's a Russian philosopher, and she's the founder of the law of attraction. And she wrote about it in one of her books in 1877. Really the whole point and what I'm trying to get at with this is that there are so many different interpretations of this concept. Yet in the end, what you'll realize is that the guiding principles of the law of attraction will always stay the same. And, you know, that's because in reality, the law of attraction is really just a positive mindset. Despite the over 650 takes on the idea or the way it's been nurtured throughout history, the law of attraction is universal, and it helps us understand why we want to live a life the way we want to. And so, you know, when you look back at all the different stories our fellows had, rather it's from Yulia's story that she's much more than a math stereotype, or, you know, with Victoria, who used a failure resume project not to bash on insecurities, but as a means for growth. All of these stories come back to this law of attraction. And so the ability to live life with purpose, happiness, and just good vibes. And I feel that realizing this was one of the most memorable things about my experience here at IgniteNextGen. And I was able to listen to conversations that I could relate to, but more importantly, to also listen in on experiences that I've never been through myself. And that was the most important thing to me. And so with that, I'm super grateful for all the stories I've heard, because as different as they are to mine, they've inspired me to really reflect on my position in life and on what I could do to continue impacting those around me. And I really hope it does the same for all of you guys listening too. And yeah, that's about it. Just for a quick overview of the pictures, I guess, if you guys are wondering, the first one on the way left is me and my parents' senior night at basketball. The other one's just a me of a baby picture with Flat Stanley, and the last one's at a summer program with a bunch of my friends. And so just a few pictures I liked. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, David, very much for that thoughtful sharing, and a reminder that indeed our mind is powerful. The mind is what says things. We heard it already, the little thing that keeps talking to us and saying we're not enough and all these things. And so thank you, David, for reminding us in how we can reframe our mind. And so again, law of attraction, but really at the end, we cannot limit ourselves by believing it. So can we do another round of appreciation? Thank you very much, David, for reminding us and extending the gratitude. With that being said, I know we're kind of going a little over time, but we have a few more, and I'm super excited. Next, we have Scott, who is going to share about finding yourself. I'm appreciated that you highlighted the ING. Look forward to hearing more. And Scott, we are ready when you are here.
Can you all hear me? Excellent. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Scott Lee, and for the past 6 weeks, I was able to find myself and want to share some of my insights. So I want you all to imagine this analogy. There's this castle, this magical place you've been dreaming about your entire life. And that is a single place you want to go to more than anywhere else in the world. That being said, there are some obstacles. Specifically, there's a gate with some security guards. And they're asking some pretty serious questions. Who are you? Where are you going? And what is your ultimate motive? This analogy sticks out to me because for all of us, we have that magical place we want to go in life. For some of us, maybe we want to be a K-pop international star like Seren, or perhaps a cutting-edge lawyer like Chanyeong. And I know for all of us, we have some very ambitious and lofty goals in mind. But in order to get there, we have to realize the world is becoming more complex than ever on a daily basis. And we have to understand where we fit in. What exactly is my identity? And how does my person fit in this messy and complex world? This is called intersectionality, recognizing that you have multiple identities that intersect with each other, and also how these identities intersect with others as well. For me, I identify as a Korean American who aspires to be a world-class neuroscientist. A little cocky, I know, but I like to prod my ego at times. Because growing up, I was a very shy and self-conscious kid. I was the only Asian amongst all my white classmates, which is why you see my virtual background as a Brady Bunch. But I made this analogy in my mind that I was basically like 2% milk. I was 98% white and 2% Korean. That's what stuck out to me in my mind. Because I was taught that if you didn't speak English, if you didn't look like others, you were automatically singled out. I wasn't considered for my unique personality, my goals, my humor, my ability to connect and be myself, but rather just based on the fact that my face looked different, and that was all. So, recent years, I've gone through a radical transformation. This was my first time in Korea back in 2012 with my harmony. That was where we ate jokbar, or pig's feet. I was really amazed when I visited Korea because all my life, I've only come to know rural Illinois, what I call home. But it's gotten to the point where I started to learn my Korean culture and really gain a nuanced appreciation, to the point where now I can speak semi-broken Korean and write something that really sticks out to me. This says, "죄송하지만 제가 동사에 돼. 화장실은 어디 있습니까?" I know it's a little immature, but you gotta recognize I was a freshly minted high school senior who was really proud of the fact that he could type or write anything in Korean, and that just happened to be the first thing in my mind. So when I first approached Ing, or IgniteNextGen, I was really surprised to see all these different faces that look just like me. I was super excited about the prospect of exploring my identity along with others. And so really what I want to leave you all with is the fact that through these past 6 weeks, I reflected on our identities, connected with others, and improved myself in a lot of ways. But I also challenge many of you to not see this as a past experience, but rather the start of an ongoing experience that will go on through the rest of your life. Instead of saying, I reflected or connected or improving, I am reflecting, I am connecting, and I am constantly improving myself. So thank you all very much.
And thank you, Scott, for reminding us on that action keyword. Indeed, the word choice matters, right? ING. In fact, when we were building the program, we realized, oh my gosh, it's ING in the present tense in action. I hope they catch the reference when we build on that. So Scott, love that story and just reminding us the present and the action matters. And I know earlier we talked a lot about how the identity blocks and the actions we take each day is help shaping us. So another round of applause. Scott, thank you. And yes, appreciate your background picture to add to the story and reminding us in where we are each day. So with that being said, I think next we have Tatiana, who's gonna share about curiosity and resilience. It is certainly making me curious to learn what you have to share. And when you are ready, the floor is yours. I think you're on mute right now if you want to unmute.
Hello, everybody. My TED Talk today is called Curiosity and Resilience. But first, who's Tatiana Mihagali? I'm a global citizen who happens to have ancestry from Korea and Italy. I'm also a proud graduate of Smith College, class of 2020 and class of 2019. And at Smith College, I had the privilege to study education and Italian. Besides university, I'm a world traveler and have traveled to many countries like Korea. I've also lived in Canada, US, and Italy. Besides traveling, I am a nature lover at heart. Whether that's the mountains, beaches, lakes, they all keep me present and enrich my appreciation of the world. For those who don't know me well, I'm a risk taker too. In sleepaway camp when I was 14 or something. Basically, new experiences have pushed me out of my comfort zone and to overcome adversity. I'm also an educator and a lifelong learner, and by that I mean I yearn to share knowledge, but also acquire new knowledge. So, through reflection and discourse during these last 6 weeks, I realized that curiosity and resilience are the driving forces of what I've become and what I hope to become. And by that I mean meeting other fellows and Korean American leaders has been a rewarding and unforgettable experience for me. And I'm quite grateful that CKA welcomed me to the Korean American community and provided me with this amazing opportunity. It was so much more than I ever expected, and I quite enjoyed attending all the talks a couple times a week. And thank you also to other Ignite Fellows and of course all the leaders who shared so much with us. And I wish you all an incredible and safe upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you very much for reminding us on the power of curiosity. Wow, indeed. I mean, often we live our days with all these labels, these words of who we are, but if we take a moment to really be curious, how are we showing up and honoring that space each day? And so Tatiana, thank you for helping us rethink about those puzzles of who we are and opening our lens with curiosity and resilience. So giving another round of applause. Thank you very much for sharing that. And last but not the least, I believe we have next Elizabeth, who is going to share about playing dress up. So very curious to hear what you have to share, and the floor is yours whenever you are ready.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hi, amazing. So when I was a sophomore in college, I had the opportunity to intern at the district attorney's office, and it was a really great opportunity. I was really excited. So to celebrate my newfound success, I went to the mall with my mom, and I got this really cute black and white skirt from Loft. I know, right? Like a grown-up store. And I wore it. I put it on my first day of work, and I walked into the atrium, and someone pressed the elevator button for me. And I felt so smart, and I felt so important, and I felt so worthy. And one of the opportunities that I had at the internship was to sit in on court and see what was going on that day. And on one particular day, there was a hearing. And so it hadn't started yet. So I was just sitting on one of the benches in my black and white skirt. And I remember looking down at my feet and thinking how cute my shoes were. And then the defendant came out in front of the judge in her orange jumpsuit and her hands tied behind her back. And in that moment, she said her name and her age. I was 19 at the time, and she was just 20 years old, so she was only a year older than me. And in that moment, I felt like I had been playing dress up all along, that I put on these clothes that I thought symbolized how smart I was, how important I was, and how worthy I was. But in reality, where she was, the defendant, and where I was, it's not because she was any less smart or any less worthy or any less important than I was. And so this was one of the most important experiences of my life, because I had always known, right, about my privilege, and I had always learned about my privilege, but I had never felt and understood the impact of what my privilege meant. And so when I think about it now, I realize that this experience showed me a glimpse of what my privilege entails and how it impacts others. And I really hope that I have many more experiences like this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Wow. I mean, let's be honest. How often are we living our days? Again, the mask reference that we heard earlier of just beautifying of what we think we want, what we think others want to see. But I mean, is that the true version of who we are? Is that the true version of who we want to live as? And Elizabeth, thank you for hitting the home run as we look back at all of our stories and how we can reframe our mind, but be more present in acknowledging our privilege, our stories, and owning up to who we are. So can we give another round of applause for Elizabeth? Thank you for sharing and helping us be grounded in where we are. And I think with that being said, oh my gosh, do we have that slide? Congratulations, you have finished the program. I know, well, first, thank you for not hating me, for challenging all of you every week. I know it was not easy, and I know all of you have put in a lot of work and thoughtfulness. So just want to say thank you on that and the thoughtfulness and the work you've done. As you have all shared, this is a true co-creation. It's one thing for us to do the work, but another for you all to own up and co-create it. And so can we give another round of applause for all of you for not just the stories you have shared today, but the work that you have continued to do all the past few weeks and continuing after so, as Scott has said, the ing on that note. And so with that being said, I believe there's another segment that we have, if I remember, a message that I have to
Yes. I love to just interject here. Thank you so much, Monica, and all the fellows. We're just so excited that we have this space to celebrate you all and all your accomplishments. But we'd also like to celebrate a special someone, our fierce leader, Monica King, who made this program what it is today. There are no words to describe Monica's amazing leadership during the program and who have made such a powerful impact on the fellows. So that's why in this digital age, the fellows have put together a special video to say thank you.
Hi, Monica. Hi, Monica.
Hi, Monica.
Hi, Monica.
Thank you so much for everything that you've been doing for this fellowship. I really have come to appreciate so many things, and I've grown so much, and I can say that I'm so proud to be a Korean American.
I'm just very thankful overall to have had this opportunity to have these important conversations on Korean American identity and community, and to really know what's important moving forward.
So for someone whose entire job is to be creative and innovative, I thought I would do the same for my thank you video for you, because you have turned my life upside down.
Thank you so much for everything you did with this past Ignite Next Gen program over the summer.
Thank you so much for these past 2 months that have been amazing and so awesome.
Thank you for being authentically yourself and inspiring us fellows to be authentically ourselves.
Thank you so much for giving it your all and putting 110% into this fellowship.
Thank you so much for everything that you've done for this fellowship throughout the past several weeks, whether it's through facilitating all the conversations that we had, all the words of wisdom that you had for us. Just wanted to say that we appreciated all the efforts and work that you've done for the fellowship, and yeah, I just wanted to say thank you.
I'm gonna truly miss listening to you and all the different assignments where I was able to reflect upon what I've learned.
Thank you so much for all that you have done to make this program a success. It was an amazing experience, and I learned so much from it.
Thank you so much for leading us throughout this entire fellowship with your positivity.
You have such a warm and inviting energy, and it made me really excited to go to the program every week, and so I just wanted to say thank you.
I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that you gave a summer that would otherwise likely have been wasted or spent with lesser direction a clear, really meaningful purpose in both the community you built and the knowledge you instilled in all of us, both of which will likely greatly outlast this program.
I think I'm really just blessed to have seen your leadership and mentorship and just how genuine, authentic, intentional and passionate you have been this entire time.
You've brought so much to the table along with creativity and good ideas and good topics for us to talk about. And I just really appreciate how much you invested your time and effort into making sure that the next younger generations are able to learn from your footsteps.
I just wanted to say thank you for always invigorating us and encouraging us with your energy every single session that we've had.
I'm so much more excited now to see what happens after this summer. All the connections that we've made, and honestly all the thoughts that are floating inside my head now, just feeling so inspired by everyone.
And just having this great energy that always seems to, spread contagiously across the room throughout our Zoom meetings and all of our events.
I know for me, I was truly humbled and inspired throughout this 6-week Zoom fellowship and gathered so many nuggets of wisdom throughout the way. And one of the main ones were said by you, which is those who are truly humble have reached true mastery in their craft.
You have inspired me for the last 6 weeks, and so I now wonder how I can do the same for others.
You've made the past 2 months fun, engaging, and you've also made them very memorable.
I think it's been an amazing experience getting to hear from other professionals.
You've taught me not only how to find the answers, but also how to be more creative about them, how to take care of my mental health first. And I'm going to miss this program so much. Thank you for everything that you've done for it. I'm excited and encouraged as I move forward in this new season, and you have been such a tremendous blessing in this whole process.
Thank you for facilitating such great workshops and providing us spaces where we can talk about not only our identity, but that personal growth as well.
Thank you so much for all your time and energy that you poured into this program.
Thank you for facilitating all of the webinars and all of the meetings.
Thank you so much for leading this program. I had such a great time meeting you and learning from you, and I'm so thankful for being able to participate in this program.
I really admire your brightness and your encouragement and your positivity. I know that I'll really remember the reflections and lessons I've learned through this fellowship, and that wouldn't have been possible without you, so I just wanted to thank you so much.
And I'm so glad I had the opportunity to learn from you.
It was great always hearing your stories and for just being so open with us.
Thank you for an amazing summer. I learned to listen better, surround myself with diverse people to challenge my belief system.
Overall, I'm just really thankful to have met you.
It's definitely been the highlight of my summer. So we just want to say thank you very much.
Okay, I'm crying. Thank you for all the messages, making me cry at the end of the program. I echo back as well. Again, thank you for the staff, for all the back end work, for co-creating. It would not be the same. And it's one thing for me to want to put this idea, but again, it's not going to be the same with every single one of you. So thank you for being up for the challenges. I enjoyed creating them, but it was so much triple, quadruple the joy to see what you started sharing. I mean, I remember the first week when I saw your journals, I was like, yes, we brought in the right folks. Look at the stories they are sharing and willing to dive into it. And so you all brought my heart warming. It's been actually a busy 2 months as well, but just being able to see you all every week and have the excuse to know that there is going to be a deeper time to build on that. And so, but don't be a stranger. I mean, you all have my contact, so please stay in touch. And going back to the continuing, but yes, I'm going to watch that video again because I think I'm going to miss all of you so much and building on all of that. And so thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah,
I think it's my turn to interject though.
Yes, please.
Because
okay.
we also have another video to put in. So I don't know how the volume's gonna go, so please let me know. All right.
When you screen share, you might have to do that sound on option.
Oh, sorry. So you guys can't hear it?
If you stop screen sharing and then restart screen sharing, but make sure you check the sound on box.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
Oh man, that was a really great workout. But you know what else has been really working my mind and my creativity this summer? The IgniteNextGen Fellowship. The leaders, the mentors, the speakers, and even the fellows, they've all really touched my life. But what can I do to show my appreciation for them? I've got it.
Honestly, I don't feel good enough. Gotta earn your love, maybe. That's why I feel like I can't really share about the fear of going nowhere. Swear I know that we are all scared. We compare and think it's not fair. He's up there and he is aware. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Hey, guys, can you get this over to the team for me?
왜들 그리 다운돼 있어 뭐가 문제야 say something 분위기가 겁나 싸해 요새 이런 게 유행인가 왜들 그리 재미없어 아 그건 나도 마찬가지 Tell me what I got to do 급한 대로 블루투스 켜 아무 노래나 일단 틀어 아무거나 신나는 걸로 아무렇게나 춤춰 아무렇지 않아 보이게 아무 생각하기 싫어 아무개로 salad 접시 I'm sick and tired all my everyday Keep it up 한 곡도 아무 노래나 일단 틀어 아무렴 어때 so boring 아무래도 refresh가 시급한 듯해 쌓여간 스트레스가
This is Spain. I'll send it back to the States.
Thank you and 감사합니다 to Monica, Jeannie, Sam, Kevin, Esther, David, and Mira for organizing such a great program. We all really appreciated it and thank you so much.
왜들 그리 다운돼 있어 뭐가 문제야 say something 분위기가 겁나 싸해 요샌 이런 게 유행인가 왜들 그리 재미없어 아 그건 나도 마찬가지 Tell me what I got to do 급한 대로 블루투스 켜 아무 노래나
Thank you, Justin. Did you want to add a word or the group?
No, that was it. Yeah, that was it. Thank you, everyone.
Can we give a round of applause for the staff? I mean, especially noting all of that. There's a lot of back-end work and it is not going to be possible. And oh my gosh, you guys are blowing me away with all the creativity you have. I thought you guys were working on just your presentation. So you had 3 projects going on this week, literally. So thank you all on behalf of, I think, the group, I would say, for creating that thoughtful video. I think I want to rewatch that as well. So much love and care, and want to be able to check in actually, in fact, with our staff to say any final remarks. So we'd love to actually check in with Abe and then Eunice.
Yeah, no, thank you. What a impressive and amazing couple of hours. Thank you very much for all the hard work. We wanted to mark this time together, and so our staff will be sending you, I think, a certificate and a survey, but we also made t-shirts for everybody. And we'll be mailing these to you. And you'll be getting them next week from us as a small gift. There are only 40 made in this world, so you will get these t-shirts. And so when we have our reunion, make sure everyone wears their t-shirt. So as well as Tad, you'll get one too. All our speakers getting one too. So we got one for you, extra large, right? So for Tad. But just on behalf of the staff and all of our organizations, and just a warm and really gratitude to Monica for all of her hard work. And I think she deserves another round of applause. So thank you very much, everybody. And of course, Kevin and Esther and Jeannie and Sam and all the folks and Mira, who have all put so much work into this. I mean, Eunice and I are just we're just, I think we're kind of blown away. And obviously Eunice will speak on behalf of herself, but just for myself personally, blown away by just everything that's been going on. So thank you very much for all your hard work, and stay in touch. We want to keep this momentum going. And so, this is a end of a chapter, but there will be new chapters. And so, so stay tuned, and we want to keep you all connected. So with that, I'll hand it over to Eunice to see if.
Thanks, Abe. When we started this a couple months ago, we decided to work together. Never in my mind did I think that it would turn out to be this wonderful. You guys have surpassed our expectations, and we are so proud of each and every one of you. You guys have worked really hard, and we've seen the growth, and we hope that this is the beginning of a journey of friendship that lasts through your careers and your lives. And we just want you to remember to be true to who you are and to pursue your dreams to the fullest extent, and to never give up regardless of all the obstacles that are unforeseen that may come your way. And that you always don't forget to give thanks to the people around you, no matter, and you guys did an amazing job at the end. Those videos were just awesome. And we are so thankful that you guys were able to reciprocate. But we just want you to really be true to who you are, keep your integrity, and go forward strong as our first class of IgniteNextGen Fellows. We wish you all the best, and I just offer my sincere congratulations to y'all. Thank you for making this program awesome, And we wish you all the best in the fall semester that's coming up ahead. Thank you, guys.
Can we give another round of applause for Abe and Eunice? Again, this will not be possible with both of their leadership on the back end and the front end and all the way through. And of course, there's two extra special people. I know we got to hear from them at the beginning, but we cannot thank them enough. Again, Jeannie and Sam. Jeannie, would love to check in with first from you. Any other final insights or words that you'd like to share?
I don't want to talk because no, that was, it's been a blessing. That's all I'm going to say, because I'd like to have Monica do the crying. So yes, it's been a blessing. We will keep in touch. I'm pretty good about keeping in touch. So you'll hear from me, and I'm glad to hear the Discord and Facebook page will be staying alive. So you'll hear from us and we'll be checking in on you. It's been a blessing.
Sam?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. One of the greatest blessings in life is to be able to give back to the next generation. And it's even more of a blessing when each one of you take it and you run with it, and to see how much you've grown. And, you know, when all of us got together, you know, none of us did it for money. None of us did it for anything other than the fact that we wanted to pave a way for the next generation. And I never knew that you guys would fulfill it so much. And I'm about to like cry right now. I'm just so proud of all of you. And to Abe, to Eunice, thank you for leading the way. There's no way that we would have been able to do this without both of your leadership and the heart and desire you have for us. Jeannie, I'm so grateful to you and being the partner that I've had. The staff, you know, you got Esther, you got Amira, you got David, you got Kevin. You guys are unbelievable. And the work that you do each and every day behind the scenes, and the love that you pour into this. It's just such an honor to work with all of you and call you colleagues and friends. And also Monica. Monica, you're just so powerful, so wonderful. I know that, you know, many of you probably don't notice, but Monica shoulders a lot more than people realize. She's always smiling, she's always joyful, but she does carry a lot of burden with her. And for her to be able to do this kind of back end work, to put all this together, that's a ton of sacrifice on her end. And when you kind of slowly get to her level, you'll truly understand how much work and effort and sacrifice she really made. And to all the guest speakers, but mostly this program, this fellowship is not anything without how much you guys invest into it yourselves. So you guys all deserve a pat on the back, to be proud of yourself. And I cannot wait to see what kind of leaders you become on top of what you are already today.
Thank you, Sam and Jeannie. If we can give another round of applause. And I know we're already kind of getting into the third round, but can we still take a quick moment to say thank you to our other staff? So Kevin, Esther, David, Mira, I know you're there. Would love to, if you want to just say a brief hello. I know I'm calling you out on the spot, but Kevin, if you want to go first, say hello.
I don't have my camera on because I had to do a lot of screen sharing. But I mean, I was talking with each of the fellows, and again, like this 6-week program, I think all of us who are organizing on like the staffs, and like we had no idea what this would be like. We're just like, you know, we were very attuned or used to having like in-person like internships. We were like wondering how this is going to go. And so we were very lucky to have Monica and Jeannie and Sam kind of lead this whole initiative. But more importantly than that, we were really blessed to have like a really amazing first cohort, all of you, all 30 of you. And we just really, I'm just going to screen share this real quick, but we really just loved seeing each and every one of you like throughout like the week. Got to connect with all of you one by one and in like small groups, and we got to like see you after hours, got to know a little bit more about your personalities. And I think just the fact that all of you have such, you know, like different backgrounds, but are also able to connect with one another in such a meaningful way, just hoping that this goes beyond this 6 weeks into like the next year, the next few years, the future. And yeah, really appreciate having been a part of this special moment.
Thank you, Kevin, for sharing that. Esther, are you there as well?
Yes, I'm here. Again, I just want to echo what Kevin had just shared. I think really the program was really special because of what you guys brought to the table, your individual stories, personalities, and gifts. It was such a joy to see you guys on a weekly basis for 6 weeks. And I know that this fellowship program was both a learning experience and growing experience for you all, but it was also for us as well. I think I just personally learned so much hearing from your stories and the insights, and I'm just really happy to be here. And I also agree with Jeannie. It's just been such a blessing to be part of this program.
And last, David.
Hey everyone, I am very just proud of all of the fellows. You guys, as much as you say that we have made an impact on you, you all have definitely made a very, very positive and everlasting impact on us, just through like breakout rooms and conversations we've had, and also like the coffee chats that we've had like one-on-one. I think you all bring something so uniquely amazing to the table, and I really want to see you take that and run with it. You guys all have such amazing potential, amazing talent, and I really do believe in all of you. I hope you guys like an amazing rest of your summer, and just thank you everyone who was part of putting this program together. Especially thank you, Monica. I had a blast editing that video for you because it was just like, for a shout out to Yulia, because her handstand really brightened up my entire editing experience. It was so good. I'll link you to all the full videos later, but yes, a big, big, big thank you to Monica. You did an amazing job. And like Jeannie said, we were here to follow because your leadership really skyrocketed this entire program. So thank you, Monica. Thank you to my teammates, and thank you to all the team leaders and everyone else who was part of this program.
And thank you all. You guys are succeeding in making me cry for the rest of the weekend with deep gratitude. And again, would not be the same. But yes, sending our loves and gratitude also for Mira, who has been part of it. She's not here right now, but as you all know, she has been a key part as well. So can we give another round of applause and gratitude for our staff? I know often when they are backstage, we don't really know, but they put in a lot of work and care. And I know the work that you experience is a true reflection of that. So with that being said, I mean, we kind of already like extended the graduation party already in this moment. So I guess a final note that I would like to add, extra gratitude. Again, we have some of our speakers and guests who have been part of this. I see Tad also here too. So you guys have amazing people who has already been part of this journey. One of the things that we continue to build upon is owning up, being proactive, and making it your own story and your own narrative. And so the final quote that I would love to add, this is actually on my personal signature line because I love it so much, is by Oscar Wilde, who says, "To define is to limit." And so I hope that you do not let anything ever define and limit who you are and who you can be, because you are so much more than what anyone ever says, owning up to your names and your journey and many more that you hope to do. And I hope that you look back in like 2020, I thought this is what my life was going to be, and how crazy and silly of me, because I'm now doing so much more and so much other things on that. And so cannot wait to see how you continue to do that today, tomorrow, and many years of continuing, and look forward to seeing. And with that being said, congratulations, you have finished. We will send you other things over email. Have fun. No more homework next week, but we look forward to staying in touch and building and growing. So have a wonderful summer, but stay in touch, and congratulations again for all the work that you have done. And so with that being said, I think we are done for now. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you hopefully soon again. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you all. Bye.
Stay in touch, or we'll all come after you.
Yes, yes. As Jeannie said, we will be very good at staying in touch. So